hit in Soldier City. Again, Zarqawi target, which was common. We hit the house, the most gunfire I'd heard at one time by far. And we were kind of at a tactical conundrum because you had a hallway, and at the end of the hallway was a door. Maybe it was 7-8 meters, I don't know. But you can't hook a grenade, into a door. So the only way to do it is I'm going to shoot, through the wall and then at the door frame to where we can just go up close enough to hook a grenade in. It was the only thing we could do. I remember him going down to grab a grenade, and then that was it. Everything exploded.
Welcome to Mic Drop, the podcast where relevancy is irrelevant and we don't give a shit about your feelings. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, it's both an honor and a pleasure to welcome my next guest to the podcast. He spent 10 years on active duty, and that's between the 2nd Ranger Battalion and Delta or CAG, a total of 3 combat deployments. He's the co-owner and involved with Spectre, which specializes in high-end R&D for top-tier operational units. He's an actor, producer, and director on the hit CBS show SEAL Team, and he took being the gray man to the absolute next level. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Tyler Gray.
Hello.
Thanks for coming on here.
I
know you're a busy guy, and you've been kind of burning it at both ends here for the last couple of years. Is it weird playing your idols on TV, or the better of the 2 operational units?
I mean, it doesn't matter how many times that I say that I was Army Special Operations. Yeah. I still get Instagram messages asking me how Buds was and how to prepare for Buds. And I'm like, dude, how many times can I say this? Yeah. I was not a SEAL. I play one on TV. Actually, a funny story. I have played a SEAL 4 times.
Really?
4 times.
Oh, shit.
Yep. I played a SEAL, obviously on the show. In Suicide Squad, I was a SEAL. In a movie I did called Free Ray Sean, I was a former SEAL. And then I was, I'm missing one. And then something else I did. I was a SEAL again, or a former SEAL. I can't remember.
That's wild.
I have to think about what it was now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in all seriousness, is there any weirdness or any things that you screw up or kind of step on your own dick as far as playing a SEAL on TV when you were at such a specialized unit but just in a different branch?
Whenever advising it, and it's happened whenever, every once in a while we'll do an episode that'll involve water, boats, beach, submarine, and they'll ask me, and I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah. How do you lock out of a sub?
Fuck, and I'm like, I don't know. They're like, how do you stand on a rib? Yeah. Don't know. And so I'll defer to one of the, because we have SEALs that were we have SEALs that are some of the doubles, or we have quite a few SEALs that work on the show. So I'm just like, hey man, if it comes to how do we get onto the beach, no clue. Ask one of the SEAL guys. So. Anytime we do stuff like that, it's funny. Yeah.
Have you caught a lot of shit from your comrades for playing a SEAL on TV?
Not that they've vocalized.
Yeah. It's all behind your back.
No, I mean, it's one of those things where, for me, all the inner, whether it's, big Army, rivalry between big Army and Marine Corps, or SEALs, Rangers, all those unit rivalries, to me at least, they happen while you're in, but at least for me, once you get out, dude, we're all the same and have way more in common being out than we have differences. So for me, playing a SEAL or portraying a SEAL, I don't really see it as, I just see it as portraying the community, in general, because, and no different, you go to any NATO soft unit, even different countries, as you know, it's
a lot of the
same guys, different countries,
Yeah.
so I just see it all kind of as the same.
I'm going to take a quick break. I do want to let you guys know the way that you can support the show is to support our sponsors. I know some people don't like to hear ads, but that's how I do what I do for a living. So any support you can show for our gracious sponsors is much appreciated. And again, it does support the show. So thank you. What are the two key components for canine success? That's effective training and proper nutrition. Fueled by Team Dog brings those two components to your family and best friend. The perfect nutritional balance that results in a higher mental acuity, energy, overall vitality, and even an improved appearance. Every product you will find in my company's store was born from the battlefield and not from the boardroom. Let my life's work help you become your dog's hero. I mean, to me, I would almost take it a step further and say that even on active duty, like not in peacetime, because we haven't been in peacetime in a couple of decades now, but like back home, training, et cetera, there's more of a rivalry. But when you're overseas, it's like, you guys are blood brothers and, fighting together and whatever. But
very true.
Because, were you in before 9/11?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember, the years before 9/11, like the rivalry, especially between us and like Force Recon guys, was fierce, and, Green Berets, Rangers, what have you. But, 9/11 kicks off and it's just different,
Well, and the other thing too that at least I noticed is, the kind of the 90s, like people that got out before 9/11 still hold on to those rivalries. And to me, those rivalries went away, not just because of combat, but really the combat put those units working together, which hadn't happened. It's easy to think someone's different when you never see them, never work with them. They're just a group of people you hear about. But as soon as you work with those people, you go, oh man, they're just like us, know? And I think, or I don't think 9/11, working with other units. I mean, I worked with, conventional Marines, everyone at one point or another. So to include, international units as well. So, and you really learn a lot about them, and your perspective opens up of again, it's just generally everyone in SOF pretty much the same type of person. We just chose different, people ask me why I didn't become a SEAL. It's a very easy answer. I can't swim.
At all?
I don't float.
Yeah. Oh, no shit.
At all. Huh. Like I will, well, when I say at all, because people are like, oh, everyone floats. And I'm like, okay.
No, I've seen it. There's people that fucking don't.
Dude, thank you. Yeah. Thank you. God, I had this conversation the other day and I was trying to explain and they're like, no, everyone floats. And I'm like, we'll go to a pool right now. And I won't go to the bottom of the ocean, but I cannot float and keep my head above water, which is kind of important, you know? So I was like, there was never a Navy career in my future, but I grew up, for me, I watched Rambo and I wanted to be a Green Beret. That was it for me.
That makes sense. In terms of one thing I like to ask all guests, what is your daily morning routine? Say the first 3 hours of the day on a normal day, if one exists. Like from the time you get up to eating, drinking, workout, what you do, etc.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm filming, it's wake up at usually 5 and just head into wherever we're filming. If it's not that, I'm generally getting up and, I kind of got off my routine actually. There's a routine that I want to get back to, quite frankly, which is, and I'll mention it here, and I'm going to forget the acronym, or I'm going to remember the acronym, but I'm going to forget what it stands for. But there's this book called Savers. And so I went to Warrior's Heart. Oh God, when was it? Year and a half, year and 4 months ago. And my therapist there, recommended this book to me called Savers, and it's awesome. It's great. And again, look it up, or maybe we can put the thing, but it's like, each letter stand, it's like reading, spirit. It's got these, things that you do every morning. And it really did set up my day in a just a great headspace and a great framework.
Yeah.
And I want to get back to that. And to do that, I just need to carve out a window of time before I'm committed to doing something, and so that's something I'm definitely going to get back to, because it was a great routine.
How long were you at that program?
42 days.
42 days.
Yeah.
And was that during the transition out?
No, that was like, as I was mentioning to you before we started recording, season 4, man, I burnt myself out on that show. And, I was just, producing, I was directing, I was acting, it was just, 16 hours every day and no rest during that time. And, I just worked too hard and burned myself out. And then I got into, 2 years ago, December 2nd to 2020, during that season, I got hit by a car on my motorcycle, and it just, I was messed up pretty good, and I was on camera, on the show, and it was one of those things where I wasn't really replaceable at that time, and so I really just, I was on a bunch of pain meds I was in quite a bit of pain, but I think I missed 4 days of work after getting hit by a car. And so I just went in there and I just finished the season, but I burned myself out doing it. And at the end, I was just a wreck. And so I went to Warrior's Heart.
Yeah. What happened with the accident? What happened?
Literally I was riding my motorcycle, and a guy makes a U-turn right in front of me.
Oh, wow.
Like across from the far right lane, he makes a U-turn, across 2 lanes of what I'm saying? A U-turn across 2 lanes.
Yeah.
Never looked left.
So you T-boned him or
no,
did
so
he run into you?
Basically I kept going left, I got into the center turn lane. I got all the way to the double yellow, and he just kept coming, never looked my way. And then I couldn't go any further because it was oncoming traffic, and basically we hit at the corner.
Wow.
And I got lucky, or not lucky, but I knew that, at the last second, I'm going to get hit. There's no question. And I was worried about my right leg getting hit by the car, which, as you know, on a bike is a big concern. So I just jumped off the pegs.
Yeah.
Almost cleared it, but, but yeah, and then just, flew probably, 50 yards. And landed on my head and my shoulder. So. And
you were on BMW Scrambler at the time?
Yeah. And
what gear did you have on?
So I had a helmet, obviously, and this story couldn't be more. It happens every time. I was literally going to the ATM.
Yeah.
It's probably a mile from because I had left the gym to go to the ATM. My jacket with all the pads.
Yeah.
I was going in a mile, and it was summer. It was hot.
Yeah.
Or no, actually, it was December, but it was. Well, it's LA, so it wasn't. I didn't need my jacket, and I just didn't feel like putting it on, so I left everything there. And of course, that's when it happens. Always is,
No, I know it. Every time I ride a sport bike, I have every fucking thing on, even if it's.
Dude, that time I didn't wear that's probably one of 2 times in years that I didn't wear it, and it's just like, That being said, I probably it was a hard enough impact where I don't think it probably would have made a huge, because I didn't really skid.
Yeah.
I just landed. I separated my shoulder and my head actually. I never go cheap on a helmet.
Oh,
so I was lucky that I had a really good quality helmet. But anyways, after that I was just basically taking meds to get through work, and it all came crashing down, and I ended up going to Warrior's Heart.
Yeah. The acting career dovetailing onto a pretty significant high-level military career is an interesting path, and one that seems pretty unique. I don't know of anybody else that served at the capacity that you did that's in a prominent career acting wise that way. Maybe an extra in fucking Transformers or whatever, but to have like a legit role and be a guy, in a show like that is pretty neat. Do you find that, like from a advisory standpoint, is there like a give and take where it's like, dude, this is bullshit, this would never happen this way, it has to be changed, and they're like, yep, tough shit, this is how we're doing it? Like, is there struggles that way?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a constant compromise, constant. The thing that I learned very early on is that you have to understand it's not enough to understand the military, and you can know what's correct, you can know tactics, you can know gear, you can know everything, but if you don't understand fundamentally the way production works, you're not going to be able to really affect change. And what I mean by that is I'll never say no. I can make, if it has to happen in story.
Do you want to go camping?
What's that?
You said you'd never say no. So
oh, yeah, no, let's do it. But no, I'll never say no to, something needs to happen. Like there's a story that they write. I can figure out how to make it make sense.
I got you.
I'll give you an example. And someone said, I had another veteran say, well, no, not everything you can make happen. And I'm like, no, I can reverse engineer anything, because I understand story. And if you go backwards, you can make it make sense. And they're like, well, something that would never happen, a veteran burning a flag. And I was like, I can make a veteran burn a flag. And they're like, bullshit, veteran would never burn a flag. And I'm like, okay, listen to this. And I'm making this up, obviously, but just here's a good example of how you can reverse engineer a story to make sense or to get a desired end state. I'm like, pretend there's this guy that gets this flag, given to him by a kid from his dad. Then he joins the military and he deploys and he carries that flag with him everywhere. That flag's with him on every deployment, and then he gets out and then he starts having problems. And, next thing you know, he's homeless. And, it goes on for years and it just keeps getting worse and worse. And, he's under a bridge and, he's on substances and all this different thing. And where he's at is freezing. And one day he has nothing. He's literally freezing to death. And he starts a fire and he doesn't have anything to burn. And he pulls out the flag and he starts crying because he has to burn it to stay warm, to stay alive.
Yeah.
There you go. You know what I mean? Like there, you can make anything happen. And so it's one of those things where you just have to understand how to maneuver the story. And basically anytime we have something that maybe doesn't make sense, then I just figure out how to reverse engineer it to make sense.
Yeah.
And that's really a critical key in advising is just understanding that you have to insert authenticity within the structure of a dramatic 1 hour TV show.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to cater to what you want. You have to cater to what they want.
Yeah. Is it weird at all playing a role that you did in real life and now doing it fake? Maybe fake, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, no, it's the best way I could say it is it's less weird than you'd think. And it's so artificial. It never feels
even close enough.
Yeah, and it never does. But there are some times where it's odd, like coming in on a helo and jumping off and running to target, but you got a camera following you. I mean, it's a strange experience. I don't really know how to describe it, but I'll say this about it. It's quite frankly pretty therapeutic.
Yeah.
Because you talked about, as a kid playing guns, I was a kid playing guns and then we played guns for real and now I'm back playing guns, so it's in that way, it's fun to you know, in a way, it's therapeutic to just have some kind of semblance of that life, even though it's completely artificial.
Does the level of camaraderie mimic the artificialness on the show? As far like, you know, the band of brothers that exists in real world is significant. Is it not really that way with the group, or are you guys pretty tight?
No, we're pretty. I mean, it's, you know, I would say, how do you get, you know, how do you get that camaraderie in you know, in the military? Well, you know, it's arguably through shared misery over time. You know, production's hard. You know, it's long hours. It's, you know, wearing kit all day, and you're out in the, you know, boonies. It's, you know, it's there's no life risk, obviously, but the conditions for at least that show, you know, if we filmed on a studio, you know, a 30-minute comedy, it'd be very different. But filming action, you know, it has to be the environment has to be tough for it to look tough. So, yeah, everyone's, you know, pretty tight, especially after, you know, 6 seasons now. Yeah. You know, we've been together for 104 episodes.
Do you guys prank the shit out of each other the way?
Not as much as you'd think. Max, who is the big prankster, he was the prank master, but I was always too busy to come up with pranks, but Max came up with some good ones. But yeah, you'd think there would be more, but it's just generally the filming is so busy. There's generally not a lot of time to do anything.
And I imagine with time being money to such a degree there, if you're fucking around, you're going to piss people off. Like, that sign your check and whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like your OIC. It's like, what are you going to do? Fire me? Like, not for that.
Yeah, production's, you know, shockingly expensive.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Is there anything that's gone horribly wrong during any of the filming where, like, it just couldn't have gone worse, like where there was a big accident or, you know, anything that's...
No, I mean, we've been pretty lucky as far as, you know, safety and everything. And I mean, considering what we've done on the show, I mean, we've definitely done things. I mean, we did, you know, live spies extraction, you know.
Are you guys all doing your own shit?
So
you're about to call some people out here.
No. So for the first, I did all my stunts and Justin did all of his. I think for the first time I was doubled was like season 3. They were doing some, I mean, I can ride a horse, but they were like riding a horse on a ridge, like super fast. Yeah. And I was like, actually, it wasn't my choice. They're like, no, you can't do that. And then there was another time where the stunt coordinator's like, hey, can you get a car sideways? And I'm like, oh yeah, of course, yeah, absolutely. And he's like, okay, cool. And then we get to Serbia, and he's like, all right, so you're gonna go and you're gonna get it sideways, and then the camera's gonna be right here, and you're gonna stop right here. And I went, wait, what? He's like, yeah, you just get it sideways, and then, you know, you can stop like, you know, 5 feet within camera. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm like, you said get it sideways. Yeah. You didn't say that parallel, I had to stop.
Yeah, specific.
Yeah, I'm like, no, you're gonna have to double me for that. But and you know, the last season though, you know, we've had doubles. I'll say this: the first 3-ish seasons, I mean, there was the actors did a lot more than, in my opinion, probably they should have, because things could have probably been done faster. But yeah, the actors at this point, or not even this point, season 3, like as far as CQB, like just clearing, like they know how to do it, you know, because I didn't teach them every scene, do this, this, and this. I just taught them the overall concepts. Yeah. And then that way they don't, you know, because the cameras will move around them. Yeah. So they just, the way we film it, they just do the movement and the camera will figure out where to go. Yeah. And so, yeah, they've done a lot of their own stunts. The big stuff's generally been doubled. Yeah. But
I suppose tactics wise, If it's too choreographed, it'll look too choreographed too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why it's just easier to give them the other thing too is, we want it to look right, but we don't want to give away any actual,
Playbook stuff.
Yeah, playbook and tactics. So everything we do is authentic, but not necessarily how you'd really do it.
Right.
Because we don't want to do it exactly how we would do it now, because we don't want to give that away.
Yeah.
But it has to look right, but it's not exactly right.
Yeah. How did you get involved in it? How did that take place?
Well, so I started working, when I got out, the two things I wanted to do as a kid was being, like I said, RAMBO. I wanted to be a Green Beret, which I never was, but I wanted to be Army SOF, I guess. And then I wanted to work in the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
So when I medically retired, that was what, I moved out west, and that was kind of what I started doing. I mean, it took me a long time to get even my first job. But, I started working on movies. Well, actually I started working on like National Geographic specials, and
Charmin commercials.
Yeah, exactly. And I just kept building, my resume or maybe not my resume, but my credits. And then, I worked on a video game, and then I worked on, again, more movies. And then, what I like to call my waiter job, while you're trying to make it in Hollywood, people are waiters and bartenders, but mine was, I was, doing EP. I was a bodyguard for pretty much almost a decade, until the show. Cause I would do movies, but you do a movie 3, 4, hell, 6 months, and then you don't do another one for 3, 4, 6 months. So you needed some consistency.
Yeah. And if you're not getting 10 million for that movie, then,
I know. So it wasn't until the show came up that I actually, they called me up, and the executive producer one of, cause there's several, but, he was a former member of the unit that we portray, and he couldn't advise because he was doing something else, and he knew me. And so they called me and they said, hey, can you go leave in like 2 days to go work on this pilot? And so I quit my bodyguarding. I had a corporate EP job at that time, and I quit it to go work on the pilot, which was a pretty big risk because most pilots don't get picked up.
Yeah.
Especially a military one at the time. And I was just kind of like, this is what I want to do, and you gotta take a risk to get a reward. Yeah. And so I went out there for 6 weeks and did the pilot, and next thing you know it, and also when I did the pilot, I was the advisor. I wasn't supposed to be on camera. How I got on camera was I told him, I'm like, you guys don't have enough people to do this. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, you got 4 actors. I'm like, as soon as we start getting into CQB, I'm like, you don't understand. Like, people going, I was trying to explain it to them, they're going to break off, and you just don't have enough people. And then I was like, and again, they really couldn't conceptualize that because we hadn't shot it yet. I'm like, all right, well, let me say this. Let's say you go into a room and there's women and kids. I'm like, and you want the 4 actors to talk about it because it's like, oh my God, these women and kids are all wounded. Who's going and taking care of somebody needs to go to them and take care of them, but you need the actors to talk. And they were like, oh, they were like, oh, that makes sense. So they're like, well, what do you suggest? And I'm like, well, I'll do it. And, cause also we had like a shotgun breach in the pilot and some technical things, an actual demo breach. And so I'm like, I'll just do all that technical stuff. That way I don't have to train an actor for it, and we'll do it faster. And, that's, how I got on camera. And then 6 seasons later, within however many episodes, they started giving me dialogue, and I had to figure out what the hell I was doing.
Speaking of that, like from a traditional or formal training from an actor standpoint, have you gone through shit like that, or is it?
So it's that's a good question. So season 1 and season 2 I did, and I'd never, no actor training of any kind. Then I was starting to get, like season 2, I was starting to get dialogue where it wasn't just like action, like, clear the room, whatever the hell it is. It was like either something funny or something dramatic. And so at that time I was like, I probably should like figure out what I'm doing. So I signed up after season 2, I signed up for this acting class and I go to it. And I think I went 3 times, something like that. And then I was like, this is not how this works. You can't, all the stuff that they were teaching, I was just like, I can't spend 10 minutes to get into character for like, when they say rolling, you deliver, and it just, the classes, or at least the one that I went to, it was more about like, it was an acting class, but acting on TV was very different. The application was very different. So I stopped going, and then I just started really asking the actors for advice and really watching them and studying them, even within a scene, and seeing how they did it. And I just eventually, picked up, my acting class was watching these professionals.
Yeah.
Over, now 6 seasons.
All right, guys, the economy sucks, right? It's up and down. Anybody who's looking to invest is a little leery of investing in the stock market, myself included. I started working with Masterworks here recently. They specialize in blue chip art, which is very unaffected by the volatility of the stock market. And so the way that it works is you basically invest with other people into paintings that are very safe and secure and reliable in terms of sales. They've got a great record of being able to sell these incredibly expensive paintings and other artworks for profit, and it gives you an ability to leave the volatility to the stock market and kind of hedge against that. So it's a good way to, I hate to use the corny cliche, diversify your portfolio, but that's exactly what it does in a very safe and predictable manner. If you go to masterworks.art/mic-drop, you can skip the wait list. Again, that's masterworks.art/mic-drop. And you can get involved with, again, diversifying whatever you're looking to put money into to keep it in a more safe platform other than cryptocurrency or the stock market or anything else that tends to bounce around like a roller coaster in these volatile times. So in terms of SEC filings, you can still register everything above board the way that you need to investment-wise. There's over $650 million invested in blue chip through these guys and over 590,000 users. So this isn't some pop-up, fly-by-night joint that has 10 members. It's totally legit and above board. And I've been working with them for a little while now, and it's great. So again, that's masterworks.art/mic-drop, and you can get all the details at that website. The amount that you've done to this point, do you feel like you could go be Michael Scott on The Office, or like do you feel like you're not typecast into doing the role that you are?
I mean, I definitely know I can go do something else. Yeah. Could I do that high of level? The building process is like, I know I could go do a comedy or because I want to make everything funnier when I'm whether I'm directing, whether I'm acting, I always want to make it funnier. So I'd love to do a comedy. But the thing that you realize, when it comes to like like David Boreanaz or obviously Steve Carell on The Office, I mean, the level of pressure on someone that's leading a show or leading a movie is it's unbelievable, because they have to deliver perfectly. There's no second chances for them, and the amount of dialogue that they have to just memorize on the spot, it's pretty amazing to see, and that takes a while to get to, and that's why almost everyone has like a, you look at like a Chris Pratt who, but look where he started.
Yeah,
I mean, he Parks and Rec, exactly, and he goof. Exactly, and I mean, he crushed everything he did on that, but it was a building block before he was, the lead of
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Exactly, Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, he was in what's it called, Zero Dark 30, and so there's a building process. So I I would love to do something outside of the military space.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm working towards that.
Yeah. Do you guys use plastic kit?
Nope.
You guys use the real shit?
All the kit's real. All the guns
Really?
are real. Yep.
No shit.
Yeah.
So with the guns being real, is it like modified BFAs with blanks, or how do you?
So the way they do it, so we're lucky. We have, I mean, look, the show is what it is because we have just well, for many reasons, but from the beginning, when I was on the pilot, it was, hey, like, we want to get this right. And that came from Chris Chulak from the very beginning. Like, he directed the pilot and he shepherded the show from the very beginning concept, but it was, we want this to be as authentic as possible. And so that has carried, 6 seasons. And when it came to the gear, like the prop master we have, usually a prop master comes in and says, no, we're going to do it this way because it's easier. We were lucky on who was, the team that was assembled to where the prop master we got, it's like, all right, let's talk about how to get this right. Guns, we have one of the best armors in the business. Hey, we want to get this right. And that's why the show is what it is because everyone on board is trying to get it right. Yeah. Or I should say as right as it can be within the confines of a TV drama. But yeah, so the way our guns work is like they're 4.16. Well, now actually we have the Noveskis, but whether they're the Noveskis or the 4.16s, in the barrel they have a screw. Essentially, it's a Allen screw that goes in the barrel, and there's a whole science obviously to where it needs to be and how tight and size, blah blah blah. But there's just that screw is the blank adapter, and it's within the barrel. What
are you using the same blanks or similar blanks to what we used in the military?
So they're different. So they're custom made by. The armor has forgotten more about blank rounds than probably the military will ever know. So they know exactly, like our guns work.
Yeah,
it's very rare that we have a gun not work firing blanks, which, as you know, in the military is the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And it's just because, again, like we're saying, time is money, and those guns, they'd better work. When you start firing, or that ruins a whole scene or whole take, I should say.
Sure.
But yeah, our armor, and the gear, the only thing we don't do obviously is we don't wear real plates because that would be stupid. That being said, I did wear real plates and a full weight helmet the whole first season, which is one of the dumber things I've ever done. Like in my head, I was like, I'm going to be hard, and now looking at it, I was stupid. Yeah. But, season 2, I was like, I don't need to wear real plates. That's just dumb. It's also, when you have to also act and do other things, like the less weight, the more you're able to concentrate on what you're actually doing. Sure. That being said, I still hate wearing a backpack with, I want a little weight in it to where it doesn't look like it's, I hate when I'm watching movies and it's flopping around. Yeah. You're like, there's nothing in there.
Yeah. As far as the gear goes, you said, you're rocking 4.16s and then Noveskis. How competitive is it? I can only imagine that every fucking gear company, gun manufacturer in the world is trying to get their shit on your guys' show.
Ironically, it's the opposite.
Really?
Yeah, because, for them, it doesn't, or at least there's no way that they could know that it directly translates to sales. So
I guess just looking at the John Wick Terran tactical model of like that being taken advantage of a lot.
But that was an outlier, that was an outlier. Usually it's, the shows don't want something heavily branded because they're in the business of selling advertising. So, they don't want to push a brand that they're not getting paid for. And on that note too, CBS Paramount Plus is not in the business of you could imagine they don't want
exactly a gun friendly corporation.
They don't want to push, gun brands and all that stuff. So the stuff that we put in there, we're doing it just to, it's a hybrid between about half of it is what people are really using, or at least what the units are really using. And then sometimes we're like, all right, they're not using this, but this is really cool.
Yeah.
And, so the gear, gun porn,
Sure.
we'll throw stuff in just because it's cool. It's not being used, but it's cool. Like we were using Indige weapons, and because Sonny has a saw, Mike the armorer and I were talking about it, and we're like, it'd be cool is let's take an RPD and chop it at the gas block and then suppress it. Yeah. And so he did it. And I mean, it's, like I don't think there's ever been one on a movie or show ever, and it was just, so we'll do stuff like that where we'll just kind of, we know that people are watching the show, just like myself, that would watch, when I was a kid and I'd see gear or guns and be like, oh, that's cool. We know those people are out there. And so we put little stuff in there specifically for that.
That makes sense. Pyrotechnic wise, is there a hybridization of breaching charges, things that you or the team would use, and the pyrotechnics experts? Like, how does that kind of go together? Yeah,
so that's been another great relationship. Chris Nelson, who does our special effects, there's just a lot of, you look in the script of what something is, breaching a door, whatever, and then we talk on, okay, this is how you'd actually do it, and then he figures out the special effects way to do it. And we've actually done stuff in the show that's pretty, pretty unique. Like we did a double breach, which is, so I can't initiate anything as the actor or even as a stuntman. It has to come from the special effects person. So I've got my initiation system, but I'm wired to a receiver that he is actually controlling with a remote. So basically we did in an episode where I had two different rigs on, and I basically went in. So I'm wired to the charge, but it's not actually initiating it. The thing is, so anyways, we did this double breach, which without cutting. So I basically put on a charge, blew the door, and then I think I had scissors and I cut it off, and then I went to the next door and then did it again, which, again, people don't know that was very hard to do. But so we'll do stuff like that you won't generally see because, you can't, we had to come up with an innovative way to cheat it.
Yeah. So acting on a show for 6 seasons now that uses guns pretty much in the whole thing, and that's kind of the main gig. I'm curious to get your take on the Alec Baldwin thing. Like, how could something like that have happened?
I'll tell you, when I first heard of it, and even now, knowing set protocol, I don't understand how it's possible. That being said, I know the details of the thing that happened with Brandon Lee.
Yeah.
And if you know the details of how that happened, I mean, it's...
What did happen?
I'll give you the very short version, but the very short version is, so there was a scene in which, so first of all, it was Crow was a low budget movie under extreme pressure of time. And, again, they cut corners. Rust was, from what I've heard, no different. And that's the core fundamental issue right there. But so what happens is the armor, or I think he was a prop guy, I can't remember. There's a scene where they're pointing the revolver at the camera. Well, you're pointing a revolver at the camera, so you need to see the bullets in the chamber. Well, he didn't have dummy rounds. So what he did was he went and bought real 44 Magnum rounds and pulled the, probably used freaking pliers, pulled the bullet off, dumped the powder out, and then put the bullet back and made dummy rounds. Well, there's only one problem with that.
The primer's
still a primer. So then the actor, gets the gun, points it to the camera, and at some point he pulls the trigger and the primer goes off. Now, I'm sure no one heard it because the guy was, there's sound, he's saying dialogue. I'm sure no one even noticed. But that primer goes off, and it was enough to push that 44 Magnum slug into the barrel. So then the scene's done. They hand off the gun, the armor, whatever, empties it out. Now, one of the bullets doesn't have, or one of the rounds doesn't have a bullet. But again, it could have fallen on the ground. It was just like, oh shit, I don't know. He never checked the barrel. I don't know where it went, whatever. So then that gun sits in a bag for like, I don't know, a month or 45 days. It was a long time. And then it gets pulled out again. Again, barrel does not get checked. Gets loaded with full blank 44 Magnum loads. And then it's the scene where the actor shoots Brandon Lee. Wow. Well, now you've got a slug in the barrel and you got a full power blank. You basically have a full power 44 Magnum. Man. And it hit Brandon Lee in the stomach, and they didn't know he was, why would they expect, they thought he was acting. Yeah. Why wouldn't they? And that's how Brandon Lee died.
Yeah.
But wild. The fundamental problem, which the sad part is, this whole thing has a very simple solution. It's a very simple solution. And that is all three people that have been killed with guns on set in the last, I don't know how many years, were revolvers. The one before Brandon Lee was an actor, I forget his name, but he put it was a blank, but he put it to his head, revolvers are not plugged. Remember how I was saying the screw in the barrel? Revolvers are the only guns that aren't plugged because they work. They don't need the gas to cycle the action. The trigger does it. So they've just never had plugs. So all you have to do is plug revolvers. Yeah. That's it. And then it could never happen again because nothing could ever go through the barrel. Yeah. But how that happened on set, because it was apparently an actual live round. I mean, the series of small, or, I shouldn't say small, but just the amount of things that had to have been messed up and gone wrong are just crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the amount of negligence taking place there is catastrophic.
Absolutely. I mean, I again, having worked on, a couple dozen sets, I don't understand how that was possible. Yeah. Knowing the checks and balances.
Yeah. We'll get back into some of the SEAL Team CBS stuff, but I want to talk about your military career as well, because it's pretty significant, and you've got a lot of experience that I know people are going to want to hear about. Where are you originally from?
Bakersfield, California.
That's a nice area. Did you ever get valley fever growing up?
Beautiful. No, but it was always that's funny you say that. It was always a risk.
I got it. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I got it out at Nyland, out in the desert, Eastern California. And they tried to medically retire me for it.
Oh, it's bad.
Terrible.
I mean, it's a bad, it's like, it's bad.
Yeah. All right. So you grew up in Bakersfield. Did you, in terms of encapsulating your childhood, did you have siblings? Did you play sports? What was growing up there like?
For me, it was, I played sports, but I was kind of a lonely, nerdy, geeky kid, Star Wars fanatic. My favorite thing to do was play guns. I would if I could do that every day, all day, that's what I would do. And, and Bakersfield then was a very strange place. It was like part farmland and then part, it was kind of dangerous in other ways. I mean, there were some really bad areas. But yeah, growing up there, I just idolized from as early as I can remember, in anything military. I'd go to the air show. I'd wear camo every day to school. That's the kid I was.
Yeah. Did your dad or parents or any relatives serve?
No, just, grandfather, World War II, which is common, obviously. But yeah, no, my dad didn't go to Vietnam. He had, I think, a hernia and some, whatever. He got drafted, but then they denied him. But yeah, no immediate relatives in the military. It was just, people have asked, why did you choose to join? And I always say, I don't feel like I chose it. I feel like I had to do it.
Yeah.
It was never a choice for me, really.
Did you have siblings?
Yep. Yeah. A younger brother.
What sports did you play?
Football, soccer were my. I mean, I played some baseball, but football and soccer were my main. Soccer was my main one. I played soccer for like, most of my life.
Yeah. Not something that you wanted to pursue, obviously, into college or whatever. Wasn't that big of a deal?
I never wanted to go to college. Yeah. I stopped playing sports in high school, like my sophomore year, and I was just my freshman and sophomore year. To be honest, I had to go to adult. I pretty much ditched almost my entire junior and senior year. Like I'm not exaggerating.
For what?
Work.
No shit.
Yeah, I had a job at the gym.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was selling memberships at the gym. I was like, fuck school.
Great.
But yeah, I actually had to go to adult school to make up the credits to graduate.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Did you join right after high school?
No, I first, going back to entertainment and entertainment in the military, and being in Bakersfield, it was an hour and a half from LA. So I went down to LA and tried to be, and again, I didn't try and be an actor or I didn't know what I wanted to do in Hollywood. I just went down and tried to find work in the industry. And obviously as an 18-year-old moron, that didn't go well. And then I realized correctly that, this is going to take some time to figure out. And I just kind of knew the military, it had an expiration date. And so I somehow at that age knew, hey, I should do that now.
Yeah.
And so I joined literally out of the Hollywood MEPS.
Oh, no shit.
So when I was in MEPS, everything said Hollywood, and you want to talk about fucking getting shit for that, man. Ugh. In hindsight, I definitely would have joined from a different office.
Did you get any work in Hollywood doing anything before then?
No.
Out?
No, I think I actually went to like a couple auditions to be like an ex. It was weird. It was weird stuff.
What year was this?
I was like 97. Yeah. It was
wind up on the casting.
Or no. This is 90. Sorry, this is 96, 95, 96. Yeah.
I was joking, but you wind up on the casting couch with shit like that.
No, dude, it was there was one particular, I'll never forget it. There was one particular casting I went to that they didn't want to let me in. It was at a bar.
That's good.
And it was at night, and they didn't want to let me in because I was 18, and it was a bar. Everyone was 21. I'm like, dude, I have, I'm supposed to be here, and there wasn't even an email then, but I forget what I had. I was on a list or whatever. And so they finally let me in. Dude, I don't even remember. I just remember there was all these girls, all these pretty girls, and I remember talking to a girl, and she was like 25, and I was like 18. And it was just a world that I just couldn't fathom it. It was very strange. And even in hindsight, knowing what I know now, I still look back to that and I'm like, God, what was that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it had to be like a porn audition or something. Because it was just, it wasn't normal.
Yeah. Did it have a mailing address of Chatsworth, California?
Who has a casting in a bar? It was just, it was weird. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking wild. All right, so you joined the Army. I'm assuming you went to Fort Benning?
Yeah.
Did you sign up for the Ranger program?
Yeah. So I went in, and as I said, again, referencing, First Blood, I went in and I was like, I want to be a Green Beret. And they're like, okay, awesome. No. And I was like,
wait, what?
Yeah. Huh? What? And so there was no 18 X-ray program. So I went in, I just was like, all right, and I knew what Rangers were. I had a Ranger poster. I had a Green Beret. I had a bunch of them. And so I'm like, all right, well, what can you guarantee me a chance? And they're like, well, we have a Ranger contract. And I'm like, done, sign me up. And hell, Hollywood MEPS, they were just, they were happy that I passed the ASVAB. They were like, oh my God, you passed the ASVAB, you qualify. Yeah. And like I had a GT score of 122. Which they were pissed because my GT score, which again, I don't remember even taking the test, but it qualified me for every job.
Yeah.
So they were like, no, do not join infantry. Yeah. Like, you don't understand. You can do this. And I was like, yeah, but I don't want to do that, But for them to have somebody in that MEPS that qualified for everything, they were not happy that I was taking a Ranger contract for infantry.
Yeah, in the Navy, they would snag you for the nuke program.
Yeah, that's exactly.
The submarines. But so you go through. Was it relatively smooth sailing, or what was the path like?
I mean, I had fun I wanted to do it so bad. It's like, as you know, it's all proportionate to motivation. Basic training, airborne RIP, all that stuff. I mean, I had fun. I thought it was, obviously it sucks at times, but overall it's exactly what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then when, done with that process was like 6 or 7 months, I forget exactly. And then I got assigned to 2nd Ranger Battalion.
Fort Lewis.
Yeah, Fort Lewis, Fort Lewis is awesome. It's a great base. It's especially then.
Yeah.
Seattle was very different then, obviously. And so, I get to 2nd Ranger Battalion. I'm like, all right, dude, I'm going to fucking CQB. I'm going to do all the cool shit. I was all excited to be on the line,
Yeah.
And I get there and they're like, all right, you're an assistant gunner.
You're like, well, what the fuck is
I'm
that?
like, yeah, what does that mean? And they're like, all right. So at that time,
you're carrying ammo and barrels.
That's it.
Yeah.
I didn't even have a rifle.
Yeah.
I had an M9 and a bag with a freaking tripod, TD, 2 spare barrels, and, I think at that time, about 700 rounds of 7.62, which is 7.7 pounds per 100 rounds. Yeah. Each barrel was 7.7 pounds, which is ironic, same as 100 rounds. And then I don't even remember how much the tripod and TD weighed, and I schlepped that thing around for freaking, a year, I think about a year. I can't remember exactly, but that's what I did until I went to Ranger School. Was just an AG, which sucked.
Yeah.
but it actually, it really set me up for success later because I was used to carrying, 100-pound ruck.
Yeah. No problem.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks, but you just get used to it.
Yeah. Was Ranger School any different than you thought it would be? Was it as big of a kick in the nuts as you thought, or about?
It was about the same. I mean, the thing I learned in Ranger School is just, you take away sleep, it sucks. If you take away food, it sucks. But when you take away food and sleep,
it really sucks.
That is a unique combo that will just crush you. And so that was definitely, you definitely learn a lot from it. And again, though, I had fun.
Yeah. How much weight did you lose?
I think 45 pounds.
God,
yeah, about 45 pounds. I have picture. I look like,
broke out of Auschwitz.
Yeah, dude. People don't even, I show them a picture after Ranger School and they're like, that's you? And I'm like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
But, it was, that part sucked, but I learned a lot. It was all, ultimately, it was fun, and I got back from that. Well, and this is kind of a funny story. I got back from that and I'm like, all right, now I've got my tab. Now I'm somebody. And so I go back to my gun squad and everyone else had their tab. So I was in AG still. And I was like, are you shitting me? Seriously? We had an all tabbed weapon squad, which anyone listening to this from Ranger Battalion, that was rare.
Yeah.
Very rare. In fact, I've never heard of it happening before or since, but, so I had enough of being on a weapon squad, and then they had the sniper section was having their little selection tryouts, and I went to that and made it. So then I went and became a sniper.
What was the path like once you did that? Did that change a lot as far as where you were at and what you did? I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, I mean, I loved being a sniper. I mean, it was, and the reason is because it was, especially then, because back then we were doing everything, meaning we were doing the shooting and the recce, all of it. Now it's split into like snipers, and I think there's a recce platoon now, but back then, you had to do it all. And it was so much from, just the fieldcraft reconnaissance part to learning cameras to the radios to call for fire to, and then learning the sniper shooting part on top of that. I mean, it was an unmasterable job.
Yeah.
And I loved how no matter what you did, you'd never be a master of every aspect of that.
Yeah. What was your first deployment at 2nd Ranger Bat?
Overseas was Afghanistan in 2002.
Where were you at when 9/11 happened? At the battalion?
No, I was actually in PLDC. So I was at Fort Lewis at PLDC, which is Primary Leadership Development Course. So basically the course you go to be a sergeant. And I was there, and actually I was, we were up early running, doing PT. I remember I came back and I was changing, and they allowed us to have the radio on. So I had the radio on, and I heard about it on the radio. And then weirdly, unfortunately, quite frankly, in that school, because we were students, they kept us from the TV. So I didn't see a lot of it initially. So it was like you'd be in the chow hall and like you'd walk by and you'd see a tower fall, but they wouldn't tell us anything. It was very strange.
Yeah. It's like listening to War of the Worlds, Orson Welles on the radio kind of shit.
That's really how it felt, you know, and they just, and I get it, we were students and they kind of insulated us from it, but it was very strange. And then they all brought us together, like, I think the end of that day. And then the whole rest, like starting on September 12th, I'm just like, all right, dude,
where are we going?
Pull me from this course. Get me the fuck out of here. This is not important. And, the way it worked was, for Rangers, at least, 3rd Bat jumped into Kandahar October 19th. That was the start of the Afghanistan. And then, after that, 1st Battalion rotated, and they did basically, QRF out of Kandahar. And that's when Roberts Ridge happened. Well, towards the end of their deployment, Roberts Ridge happened. And then we subbed out with them. So we came right after Anaconda, after Roberts Ridge. And then obviously Anaconda pushed, all the bad guys into Pakistan on the border. So when we got there, basically we were building all the outstations. So all the first bases on the, or along the Pak border, Asadabad, Jalalabad, Shkin, all those is what we basically built.
Gentlemen and ladies, are you tired of having buckwheat in a leg lock as far as your downstairs is concerned? I know I was, and so I turned to Manscaped. And this one, which reeks of excellence, is the actual one that I shorn my sack with. This is the regular Manscaped model. It's got, if you're a really hairy bastard like I am, it's got 2 different guards for different lengths. They do have an ear and nose hair trimmer, which you get to be my age, and that shit starts to grow. This works exceptionally well and is very gentle as also. They have the Crop Reviver. This is also known as a ball toner, which, if you're getting ready to do the damn thing and you want to not offend anybody, then the ball toner works great. And this is the Crop Preserver, which is ball deodorant. Both of them are fantastic products. Manscaped is a hell of a brand. They're extremely supportive of veteran companies such as this one and the Mic Drop podcast. I do use the shit out of this product. It's even got this little light on it. You can hear that, ladies. I know you know what that sounds like. So I use their products. I love their products. I have for a number of years now. And now that they're working with us, if you go to manscaped.com, the code is MicDrop, all one word, capital letters, and that's for 20% off all of the ball manscaping products that you could possibly want. And again, ladies, you can use these too, because God knows we all need a little bit of help down there. Was there, in terms of interaction / engagement with Taliban, Al-Qaeda fighters, what was that like at that time?
At that time, it was relatively light, because it was right after they got pushed out. So, we were building all the bases, and there wasn't, there was missions and there was stuff, but it wasn't
any legit fucking ticks.
No, not really. Like not that deployment. Not for me. Yeah. There there were a couple. Well, there was nothing super heavy. I'm trying to think. I think one element did a supporting for my other old unit, and they had a big engagement, but it was just nothing major.
Yeah.
Mostly what we did was, or what my team did really was, we'd go out we'd do 4-day, just my team and another team offset, and we'd go outside the fob and do recce for 4 days, which, in hindsight, dude, sending 4 dudes out for 4 days, fucking no way they would do that later in the war. Yeah. And we'd be out just kind of hanging it out there. And we actually got compromised one time straight out of Lone Survivor. And, we didn't, we didn't kill the guy. He was a goat herder, literally. And, we just picked up and fucking moved like 4 clicks. But it's one of those things where, I learned a lot, during that deployment. The big thing that happened for me, at least, was, when I was at the outstation, one of them, Shkin, there was a unit team there that doing AFO stuff, and essentially, they didn't have it was Afghanistan, so they were going to do something. I don't even remember what exactly it was, but they ended up taking my Ranger sniper team because long range support. So, and I did that mission with them, and after that, I was like, I'm going to go try out for there when I get back. Yeah. And that was just concrete, just put in my head. And I had I had a great time in Ranger Battalion while I was there. But when I was, at that time I was like a sniper section leader, I want to say. So I was teaching and I wasn't really learning anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I want to get back to where I'm like the low man on the totem pole. I want to get back to where I'm constantly learning and not teaching. Yeah. And so after working with the unit, I was like, I'm going to drop a packet when I get home.
How is that received within Battalion? Is that something where they're like, oh, well, fuck you if you're leaving here, or is it encouraged?
No, it's encouraged.
Yeah.
There's places that are not encouraged, which I won't say, but that is kind of no one's going to give you shit for that.
Yeah. What can you say why the places that aren't encouraged are not? Is it because it's not combative?
No, I think it's just, Ranger. What defines Ranger Battalion is always doing things the hard way.
I think I can fill in the blanks of where that place.
Yeah, I'm sure you can. But it's just it's like, hey man, like it's the hard way. The hard way is the right way. Yeah. And again, that there's a reason for that.
Sure.
Especially when you're getting, 18-year-old, new people off the street. It's definitely. I put it this way: I wouldn't have wanted to start anywhere else but Ranger Battalion.
Yeah. Especially at that age.
It was a great foundation of, it's a more of a special operations unit now, but then it was more of an elite infantry unit.
Yeah.
And I think having, it's like when I teach CQB, I teach CQB, it's just, it's infantry combat in a confined space.
Yeah.
It's nothing disproportionately different than basic infantry things. And so I think having that basis of infantry knowledge and skills is absolutely critical. It's the foundation for any kind of special operation.
Yeah. Speaking of, I guess Rangers going to Delta, what is about, ballpark breakdown of Rangers versus Green Berets that make up that unit?
I say I'm sure many people have said, but it's high. It's
more Rangers than Green Berets?
Oh, without question.
Really?
Oh yeah.
What's the weirdest MOS that's not one of those two of a guy that you knew there?
Well, that's actually easy. That's easy. So when I got blown up, the guy standing literally to my right, prior to being in the unit, he was a Navy hard hat diver.
Get the fuck out.
100% true.
Really?
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yep. Navy hard hat diver. And where he even found out about the unit from, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But he went to selection and made it.
The fact that he made it is incredible.
Well, if you knew him, it would make more sense.
Yeah.
That guy. So I won't say his name to protect his identity, but I'll tell you. So I'll tell you a combat story. This is my first mission ever with the unit, ever. In Iraq. And so we go hit this house, and I think we're looking for hostage. Somebody had been taken. I think it was American hostage. I don't remember exactly, but we're looking for these hostages. Anyways, we go there, and we hit it, and there was some squirters, right? And so, and I was a decent runner. And so these squirters, man, they took off, and they're like, "Hey, we need some people to go, grab these squirters."
You guys weren't using dogs yet?
No. Well, no, we weren't. And so, so this guy volunteers, the guy that I'm talking about, and this guy in my team volunteered, who I knew was a good runner because we'd run together. So I was like, well, if he's going, I'm going. So, the three of us are like, hey, we're going to go track down these squirters. So we start running. What I didn't know was that the guy leading this chase, and these squirters, man, I give them credit, dude. They didn't squirt like 200 yards. These dudes like squirted like 2.5 miles. Wow. I mean, they took off and they didn't stop. But anyways, what I didn't know about them is that, you ever heard the Badwater Marathon? Mm-mm. So it's an ultra marathon where they run from the bottom of Death Valley, lowest point in the United States, to the top of Mount Whitney.
Jesus.
The highest point in the United States.
How fucking far is that?
Dude, it's like 50 fucking miles. It's 56 miles. We'll look it up. It's the Badwater Marathon. Well, this fucking dude had the record.
Jesus.
For like 4 years. I didn't know that when I started running with him. So we're running, man, and I'm like, in full kit, and this dude's like, I mean, a machine, and I'm dying, dude. I got there, and they were ahead of me, and they got there, and I'm providing security for these guys, and I'm about ready to puke, and I'm like, I can't even get my rifle up. I'm so freaking smoked, and I'll never forget that. I'm like, holy dude. Shit. Later, I was like, I did not know that.
Did he come from like a crazy upbringing or anything?
From what I was told, and again, I don't want to get too much in his story, but I was told that I think of like Forrest Gump.
Yeah,
he just ran everywhere. Yeah. From what I was told, but I mean, he's the best runner I've ever seen. Wow, and so that's why, I mean, we're talking freakish. Like, I don't think his body builds lactic acid. I don't know what it is.
Weird
but
mutant fucking.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It makes more sense that he made it once, he could run probably for, when you're doing 56 miles or whatever it is from the bottom to the top, like, dude, he's a machine.
Yeah. So speaking of the selection going through there, how did that compare to what you thought it was going to be?
I didn't really, I don't know. I don't really remember what I've always been pretty decent about not having a plan and just kind of going in and
seeing what happens.
Yeah, seeing what happens. I mean, that selection was like everything else, which was, I had a good time, I mean, again, did it suck? Well, yeah, it absolutely sucked. But
how much of the breakdown of how it works can you share?
I mean, I can't share anything because I don't know anything.
Oh, I got you.
I mean, literally, it's the best kept secret in the military. Every time I thought I figured something out, I'd learn something else that would throw that off. Like I literally have no idea. I mean, and I can tell you that guys that have been there 20 years, I'll straight up say, we're all curious and trying to figure it out.
Figure out what exactly?
Just something, like something.
I mean, you know what you went through, though, right?
Yeah, but like time standards or like how it all works together. Nobody knows anything.
I mean, are the guys
even the people when you run it don't know.
Well, who the fuck's pulling the strings?
The there's one person that knows everything, and all of it gets reported to them, and they, again, I don't even know what it is, but they're the ones who, there's one person, the person in charge knows the standard, and that gets passed down to, and that's
replacement,
it. Yeah. And that's the only person who knows. So there's probably now, I don't know, maybe 10 people who have ever known.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing that would concern me about an organizational structure such as that is that it almost, not almost, I mean, it invites good old boy corruption as far as who makes it and who doesn't, to a large extent,
Well, no, because the standard's the standard. There is a standard, but nobody knows what it is.
Well, but so, I mean, I guess to play devil's advocate is that how do you know that it's consistent, though, with you versus another guy? If there's one guy making the decision, he can be like, yeah, I don't like this fucking guy, but this guy I do, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but it just, when you go there, it really is black and white. I mean, there's no, the level of professionalism in that course. I mean, there's no, you know what you know what certain standards are, and if you don't, and then you don't know what certain standards are, but there's no, you either make it or you don't.
Yeah.
And they really, like, I'll give you an example. My OTC class graduated 2 enlisted operators, myself and another guy.
Out of how many?
How many? Well, so it's, I don't remember how many we started with, but it's also, from the class, because it's a little bit different, because you have the selection class, and then OTC is a little bit different because you'll have people that maybe get pushed because of different reasons and people sub in and out. But my point that I'm making is, like, they don't care.
Yeah.
Like, they'll run a whole course for 2 people.
Yeah.
They'll go through the whole process. I mean, it was, in total about a year, probably a year and a half of total work for that. So,
wow.
It's pretty, and they've had also times where people, have complained about it, and the military goes and investigates, and, I don't think they show them the details of everything, but it's like, nope, this is what it is. So they have some kind of tracking system, but it's, I have no idea the details of it.
I mean, can you lay out, just from your experience, what the different phases look like, or?
I mean, really, it's just, it's really just a land nav over open terrain, by yourself, which is easy and hard, and what I mean by that is the easy part for me, I didn't mind being on my own, land naving on my own. For others, if you're second guessing yourself, or, that can be miserable. It's very, there's some people that'll make it in a team environment because they can, kind of get through being the gray man. Whereas in that, it's all on you. You're either, you're in your head the whole time, and you really have to trust your decisions, and you have to also just live with your mistakes in the moment. And you're carrying weight over long distances, but really mentally it's a mind game.
Yeah.
Against yourself.
How long is just the selection?
It's 32 days, 30 or 32 days. I forget.
And that whole time is fucking land nav, day in, day out?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, there's some other basic stuff, but by and large, yeah, land nav.
Wow. And then you go to, if you make it, do you remember how many people started, and is it broken down that way where it's a class for selection? And
yeah, I mean, I don't remember the numbers. I know our class, or I remember our class was smaller than usual because it was 2003 and Iraq had just kicked off.
Yeah.
And I was there because I was like, we're not going to Iraq. We're in Afghanistan. There's no way, no way. And then of course I'm in, selection, and Iraq kicks off, and I was like, oh, fucking wrong about that one, you know? But so therefore it was a smaller class.
Ballpark, how many started and how many things?
I really have no idea. No, I actually, I mean, whatever I say won't be right, but say probably maybe 50 something like that.
Started?
Around there. I mean, usually it's bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, that was small.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to go off the picture in my head, but probably 50 something maybe.
About how many made it through?
On that, I think it was 4 or 5.
Wow.
Maybe 5.
Damn, that's crazy. Do people quit during selection often? Or is it usually they get cut?
So the short answer is you don't know.
Really?
They just disappear.
No shit.
Yeah, they just disappear.
God, that's some fucking mystifying shit. I mean, I get that it's on purpose.
Well, because you're alone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you don't. They're there and then they're gone.
Yeah.
Like I'll say this. There was a guy. So you do a 16-mile road march, which is like an addition to the PT test. And again, I'm not saying anything that's not. Can't go look up on the website for the thing, but it's a 16-mile road march, and I forget the time you have to do it, and I don't remember. For me, I don't give a shit about the standard. I'm going to do it as fast as I can do it. So I ran the whole thing fast as I could go, which, and this guy passed me at the end, who later would be a good friend of mine. But, I mean, he's a freaking animal. But I was like, son of a bitch, because I thought I was in first. And then I get passed by this guy, and I'm like, damn it, second, all right, fine, whatever. And I just keep going. And I mean, I forget the time I did it in, but it was good. I was in amazing shape. And especially with, running with the ruck. And I'm done. And this freak, and I'm like, all right, I got second, and me and this guy get back, and we get back to like where we had to like, take off our shit. And there's another guy there.
You're like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah, I'm like, and dude, he had already changed.
Wow.
He must have been done 10 minutes. I'm like, how in the fuck? I mean, dude, and I'm not exaggerating. He had to have ran 5-minute miles.
Wow.
And it's uphill. Like he did 5-minute miles with the 55-pound ruck.
God damn.
And I was like, holy shit. I'm like, dude. But the reason I tell that story is, I mean, I was impressed. I was like, that is incredible. And then like a week later, that guy was gone.
Wow.
And I was just like, that guy?
Yeah.
I'm like,
I'm still here?
Yeah, that guy was an animal.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird, man. Yeah. It's a weird, and it's because you're by yourself, so you don't see, you don't know who quits, who gets pulled, whatever. It's just, you do your thing, man. And you can't compare yourself.
Yeah.
And you just keep going.
Yeah. So that's 32 days ish. And then OTC, operator training course.
Yeah.
Is a year.
Ish. I mean, again, there's some additions to it. There's like the core, and then there's some additions to it. Yeah.
And is that primarily CQB, or are you guys doing
it's everything? Look, the one thing I'll say about that course on why I think it's amazing is because you can come from anywhere.
Yeah.
A great example being a Navy hard hat diver.
So it can take a guy that knows nothing and turn him into a fucking warrior.
They go, I don't give a shit what you know. You're relearning everything from zero. You start with basic rifle marksmanship.
Yeah.
Now, granted, it progresses insanely fast, but they start you back from zero, which again is, it's very well. Yeah. It's a very well thought out structure how they do it, and then everyone's on the same sheet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm a firm believer in you can't overlearn the basics.
No. And the assumption is, you were taught the basics wrong, which is
largely accurate.
Yeah. You go back through it and you're like, oh shit. All right. Well,
I've been fucking that up for 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. So it's again, that was, I'll say this. I would go through selection 5 times again before I do that course again.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That was a meat grinder.
No shit.
Yeah. That was a meat grinder.
Outside of the marksmanship, the I guess small arms fire, maneuvering tactics, et cetera, what else is there in that course that you can talk about? I mean, there's air ops, right? Jumping and
you're learning. So you're getting into true special operations, and what I mean by that is you're also learning where you're transitioning from military things to things not in full military, like very special operations stuff,
like OSS kind of shit.
Basically, that would be the, again, the term commando.
Yeah.
You're definitely getting into things that are not just special operations, but specialized special operations. Which for me, being there, again, going back to like First Blood and all, there was stuff there that I was like, okay, this is movie cool.
Yeah.
Like this is what I'd always hope for. This is that level of cool, and it was exciting for me that existed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? After being in the military, and you're always like, nothing is ever as cool as you think. And then
this is the brochure.
Yeah, I was like, all right, this is the video. This is what you had always dreamed of, and it's and then same thing, with deployments. You're doing stuff that you're like, this is movie cool, and that was always, I mean, it never stopped being, fun isn't the right word. It just
rewarding.
Yeah. It never, I was always aware of, it just felt, it sounds dumb, but it felt like a superhero.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're like, this is like Iron Man jump. I mean, obviously those movies weren't out, but it just felt like you were in a movie.
Yeah. Is there an example, even if it's vague, that you can share during the OTC of something that falls into that category of like, God damn, I can't believe this existed, or finally?
So it was doing a hit on an aircraft. And I think that's pretty known that the unit does those. But it was doing an aircraft hit, and I was on the wing coming through the window. I'm just like crouched there, and I'm like, this is pretty fucking
Take
cool.
my picture.
Yeah, I was like, this is pretty fucking cool. Like thinking of like GSG-9 back in, I don't know. I was just, that was just one moment I remember. I was like nighttime, crawling up on a ladder on it. I was like, this is fucking cool.
Yeah.
That was just one of those moments I remember.
Yeah, that's awesome. In terms of, so now you make it through, you're one of two fucking guys. Is there a graduation for two guys where it's like an actual ceremony? Is it like, all right, you made it, fucking go to the squadron, fuck off?
I won't say what it is because I don't want to ruin it for anyone, but there's something. There's something.
Yeah.
And then it's fuck off. I mean, it's not fuck off, but it is fuck off because, you feel like you're cool, and then you get to your team and you do your first thing with them and you go, I suck.
Yeah.
You're doing CQB and they're, you're moving, you're like at a fast pace and they're running and you're like, fuck, I suck. And they're taking running headshots and you're like, dude, like I thought I was good.
Yeah.
And then really, being there, the rest of the time there is just struggling to keep up with everyone around you.
How is the reception from those guys? Is it very side eye, suspect?
Oh, when you show up?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just like anything. It's like, no different than when I showed up to Ranger Battalion, no different than when I was a Ranger and then I became a sniper. It's always starting over.
Yeah.
You suck until you don't.
Yeah.
Did
they haze you at all? Like welcome aboard hazing?
No, not hazing, but they played some jokes on me that.
Did you have a favorite?
A favorite?
A favorite joke that was played on you? Or a best one?
One time I was like using a computer. This is in Fallujah. I was using a computer and my email, and this is just chance. So, I mean, what are the odds of this? So my email at the time was like I had done like 666, but my joke was 6626. So it was like a joke. Well, when we were fucking there, our task force was 6626.
Oh man.
Well, what are the odds?
Yeah.
What are the odds? And so they had some like CIA or NSA guy, I can't remember, basically say that I was like downloading porn on one of the computers and giving away classified information.
Dude, that's more than a prank.
Yeah, dude, I was, I was like, I was freaking out.
Yeah.
And he's like, in your email 6626, you can't give away the task force. I'm like, no, what? Dude, they played that shit on me for like, man, it was not fun. It was a couple of days, and finally they broke. And no, that wasn't funny to me.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
I mean, I can tell you, I was not laughing.
Fuck, man, that's brutal.
Yeah.
That's big boy pranks.
Yeah. It was, but again, you got to see what your reaction is to
that's
to stress and things like that. Yeah. But yeah, the 6626, I was like, dude,
what are the odds?
What are the odds? Yeah.
As you guys know, health and fitness is a big part of my daily routine and my lifestyle. I have a number of guests that come on that, that we talk about all sorts of things, health and fitness related, diet, nutrition, et cetera. I started taking athletic greens a few months ago here for that reason, is that it's a all encompassing vitamin and mineral supplement, 75 vitamins and minerals. It's lifestyle friendly, whether you do keto, paleo, vegan, it's dairy free, gluten free, less than 1 gram of sugar. There's no GMOs or nasty chemicals. There's no artificial anything in it. And it's just very nutrient dense and gives you that supplementation that you need to combat cold and flu season coming up, to bolster your immune system and just help with a healthy lifestyle. Right now, the subscription, if you sign up for it, comes with a year's supply of vitamin D, which again is crucial to immune support, as well as 5 on-the-go packets with that first purchase. Whether you want to invest in your health or just supplement an already existing protocol that you have, Athletic Greens has been a phenomenal staple that I've added into my regimen, and I couldn't be happier to be working with them. If you want in on that deal, go to athleticgreens.com/mic drop. And they do a phenomenal job at all the things that health and fitness wise need to be done on a daily basis. So check them out. Go to athleticgreens.com/mic drop, and they will hook you up with that special deal. Was there a point at which you felt like you were one of the guys, or did you always feel like you're just not as good as everybody?
No, I'd say by after about a year there.
Yeah.
I'd say once you get a new guy on the team, then you're like, okay,
I'm not the new guy.
I'm not the new guy anymore. Yeah. So once we had a new guy, then I was like, okay, I'm not that guy anymore.
Is that turnover rate pretty average, where it's, a couple new guys a year, or is it more than that, less than that?
No, I mean, it's pretty slow. It's pretty slow. Maybe on average, one guy every couple of years. I mean, ish, it's a pretty slow turnaround.
Wow.
There's just not that many numbers.
Yeah. And I mean, you guys get assigned to like an operator number, right?
You mean like
your number?
Oh, you're just your
376 of.
Oh, no, or at least not then.
No.
No.
I thought that like each guy had a number, like a serial number for the unit, basically, that there's been, X number of hundreds of.
I mean, not that I know of. Yeah. I mean, I knew when I left how many there had been total, but I didn't know what number I was.
Is that not a number you can share?
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
I'll say this though, it was lower than I expected. A lot lower than I expected. Yeah. And that's since the 70s, since 77.
Yeah.
The number, I was like, really?
Yeah.
I was shocked.
Wow. In terms of the pipeline, you finish OTC, you go into the unit. How long had you been there before you deployed with them?
Good question. Well, so I went, it, it depended on where you went. So where I went, So my buddy went and then deployed like right away. Like I think he deployed within 2 weeks.
Does it depend on which squadron?
Yeah. He deployed within like 2 weeks. For me, it would have been after them. So it's at least 6 months.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly, but yeah.
In that 6 months, was it all very similar training in terms of the skill set, or was it a lot of different types of things?
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, if there's anything negative that I'll say about that place, it's, and I mean, it's not negative about the place, but it's just like it's kind of like I was talking about being a sniper. It's like the amount of stuff you have to be good at is
too much.
It's too much, in my opinion. It's so many different skills and so many different missions, and to me, maybe it would be sustainable without combat.
Yeah.
But when you throw combat into it, you're robbing Peter to pay Paul all the time, because there's just not enough time to be good at, or I shouldn't say to be good, but to be current on everything. It's just way too much.
Is there a skill set, A, that you can share, and B, that surprised you the most that you guys had to learn how to do? That you're like, why the fuck are we learning how to do this, or why do we need to know how?
No,
it's
not
kind of
really.
like geometry in high school.
Not a why. I mean, everything made sense. But I mean, I'll just give you an example of like jumping. Like, do the amount of training it takes to execute a Halo or a Hey-Ho mission is
absurd. It's
absurd. I mean, it's a ton of jumps as a team, and again, I didn't think it was absurd, but I was shocked at how much training every single aspect took, from infill to exfil method. It's an unbelievable amount of time to get to the level of skill that you need to execute a special operations mission, with those capabilities.
Yeah. So you go on your first deployment, it's to Iraq with them. The first actual mission you go on, you end up chasing squirters down for 2.5 miles.
That was fun. And that was straight off the plane too. We got that mission on the plane.
Oh shit.
On the C-17 when we got it, actually before we landed. So we did that mission from the airfield, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
I mean, so fuck the turnover op, right? No.
It was
just
straight
right
go. Yeah. And again, that's, I think I was building charges on the plane. I can't remember, but it was, and it is what it is. That's what you're there for.
Yeah. Did your first time being on an operational mission with CAG, how did that kind of resonate with you internally, or did it, or were you just so fast paced that it didn't even set in? Dude, I'm a Delta Force fucking operator doing shit.
I mean, I was just excited. It was just, again, quite frankly, a dream come true. You just look at the people around you, and you suck compared to them, but you're there.
Yeah, for a reason too.
I mean, you'll everyone starts somewhere. But I was just excited to be there and to be with, it's the culmination of, really a lifelong dream, quite frankly. And, it was just, I was excited.
Yeah. Well, if the minimum standard wasn't enough, it wouldn't be the minimum. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
As far as that deployment, how long were you guys there for?
Well, so that was out of, obviously we landed in Baghdad, but we spent the rest of that deployment mostly in Fallujah. This was in 2004. I forget how long we were there, maybe 4 months, 3-4 months, whatever. And, so we were in Fallujah after that. I don't know, maybe we were there for a week, and then we spent the rest of the time pretty much in Fallujah.
Yeah. And, Fallujah at that time was,
it was
fucking
insanity.
Yeah.
It was surrounded by the Marine Corps at the time, and this was post the Blackwater incident on the bridge, and it was just it was like World War II.
Yeah.
I mean, freaking, I remember I'll never forget going, and we were going to some Marine outpost on it'd be the north side of Fallujah. And I remember coming into I don't even want to call it a base. It was like even calling it a compound is kind of an exaggeration because it was so small. But I remember coming in there and getting out of the vehicle and just up on like a little perch. This dude was just cyclic with the Mark 19, and I'm like, all right, so so that's how it is here. Okay, cool. Yeah, and it was just, calling casts in the city and freaking watching Cobra gunships, tanks. It was just, it was on a scale that didn't even remotely compare to Afghanistan.
Yeah. Was the operational tempo constant when you were there?
It was not compared to the next one because of Fallujah. We would still have to go do stuff. Like we ended up jumping onto hits, and we bounced around. Yeah. But the next deployment was not even remotely comparable in terms of pace.
Yeah, way faster.
Yeah, we were doing hits every single night.
And that was in Afghanistan?
No. The next one in Iraq again was just based out of Baghdad, nonstop missions.
Going back to the Fallujah stuff, was there a general 30,000 foot direction given to you guys as the stormtroopers, if you will? Like either going there, getting ready to go there once you got there of, hey, here's kind of the general concept of why we're here, what we're doing, what we're trying to accomplish. Like here's our goals.
Yeah. That place was very good at that. Yeah. We always knew how we fit into the bigger picture, what the intent was. I always knew what the big goal was, what our part of it was, what our intent was.
Can you share that?
Well,
or at least to,
at that time in Iraq, like, everything was essentially, taking out the facility, hell, we went after Zarqawi for shit, I don't even know how many years, 5 years or whatever it was. So it was always related to taking out the,
key figureheads.
The key figureheads, exactly. And that was always the general concept of what it was.
Yeah. Throughout that deployment, were there operations that went horribly wrong for you guys?
So there was an operation that was very frustrating. So essentially what happened was a Marine unit was, I forget why, but they were basically going from where they were at, and they were pushing like 100 yards into another part of Fallujah to get a different perspective. So they pushed and we didn't go as a team, which was frustrating. And again, a lot of politics involved, but a team did go, a team and some elements got to go. And I remember I just knew it was going to be bad. And sure as shit, they got hit hard. And, so then we came in as QRF and,
the Marines got hit hard or the team from your
unit? Both, because they were with them. Yeah. So yeah, it was, for lack of a better term, like Somalia, level stuff. And, it's in a book. I'm trying to think of the book that it's in. But two, of the three, unit people there, two of them got DSCs. One got a Silver Star. I forget. I know one Marine lost his life named Austin. I can't think of his last name. But it was just it was just frustrating,
Yeah.
you know, because, you know, you knew it was going to happen and there was like nothing you could do to prevent it. And then by the time we got there, you know, most of the stuff had been, most of the damage had been done. And you know, I still wish, you know, that now that being said, had we been there, you know, maybe we would have all died. Who knows? But that was a hard one.
What did you guys do once you showed up? Were you able to break contact? And
no, so we pretty much, they had to, well, what got them out of it was freaking tanks, like Abrams came in and just freaking, I mean, it was extreme.
did tank stuff?
Yeah, did tank stuff. Yeah. Well, that was, you know, Abrams were one of the few things that the insurgency was scared of for good reason, because RPGs bounce off of it. But yeah, they came in and basically bailed them out. By the time we got there, you know, most of the enemy was gone.
Yeah.
And it was just, I mean, you know, one of my buddies, you know, he was literally covered head to toe in blood.
Wow.
Like head to toe in blood. And so we got there and I saw him and I was just like, dude, like you need to change. Like, cause they were going to the funeral of the guy that just died, which he was carrying, he had his blood on him. And I was like, dude, you need to change. And so he went and put on a new uniform to go to the funeral, or not the funeral, but the, you know, and it just, I don't know, man. It was one of those, it's just, I don't know. You just feel like you know something's going to happen, and then it does. And there's nothing you could do about it.
The spidey sense?
Yeah. Just, I don't know. I remember just knowing what was going to happen and couldn't do anything about it. And then after it happened, it was just like one of those things where it's like, well, what, you know, well, had you been there, what if, and all these different things. And, but yeah, that, I mean, that was a big battle. And I was just pissed we missed it, quite frankly. Another thing I was, you know, that was a very frustrating deployment too, because I said it on the invasion of Fallujah briefing. I walked out of it. I was so disgusted. I walked out of it.
Why?
Because it just in the plan, you know people are going to die. Like there's no way you just know.
Was it? I mean, were you thinking to yourself like, who the fuck came up with this, or was it just there is no right answer and why are we doing this?
I mean, personally, to me, I looked at it and went, this is like, to me, I was like, you don't have to do it this way. Like, you don't have to do it this way. This is a very conventional way to do it. There is another way to do it, like, where unconventionally, where I think you literally risk way less. And again, who am I to, but I just remember looking at the plan and just going, like, there's going to be dozens killed from this plan. And there, with this plan, there's no way around that. And to me, it's just like, well, then don't go with that plan, and of course they didn't invade then, but whatever it was, 6 months later, I forget how many happened. It was like over 50 Marines lost their lives in Fallujah. And I just, again, I remember watching it on the news and just fucking being disgusted by it. Yeah. And again, it is what it is, but I just remember, I won't go into the details of the plan, but I just was like, dude, that's literally the worst way to go about this.
Yeah. On that same deployment, was there an operation that couldn't have gone better, that you're just like, dude, is this a fucking movie? Like you just crushed everything and
Yeah.
swooped in and fucked the prom queen or what?
Yeah, there actually was one. Actually, it's funny you say that. This was in Mosul. I think the first one I don't remember, but I can't remember if I think I was the ground element. Oh yeah, I had to have been. So we were at the front door and we were already set up on the door, had the charges, and they came in. I don't know who, I forget who, but they roped in on top, and just I remember being where I was, and the charge blew, and just all the windows shattered right around me.
Was this just an HVT?
Yeah. I don't even remember who it was or what, whatever. But I think by the time we got to him, like he had his, I can't remember if this is the one. I mean, a lot of them bleed together, but one of them I think this is the one where we caught the guy in bed, and he had the AK next to him, and my buddy basically just he went to reach for it. My buddy muzzle and split his head open. Actually, It wasn't that hard, but it's just like, nope.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one was just like, I don't know. Again, it was one of those movie moments where I remember hearing the helicopter, and they, blew the thing. We got in there and cleared so fast. We got to him in bed and reached for the AK. My buddy's like, nope, just slammed him on the head. But that was that. Again, it was just it wasn't a cool gunfight, but it was a cool moment of I mean, the big thing about that was it was fun to, you have all these turds, setting IEDs and doing all this stuff. And it was nice to hit them at their house.
Yeah.
And be like,
catch them literally with their pants down.
Exactly. You're now we're at your house, buddy. And I don't know. That was the fun part about that job was hitting them at their home on their turf, and not the other way around.
Yeah. Did you, I know operational tempo wise, it wasn't like the subsequent deployment, but could you ballpark about how many operations you went on during?
I don't remember whatsoever. I mean, at this point, it's so long ago. I mean, I have no idea.
Yeah. Were there any that stood out as being like long dick dragger, several hour gunfights?
No, not on that one. I mean, most of the things, at least in Iraq, were relatively quick.
Yeah.
Relatively quick. Those would be, or at least from what I know, that happened way more often when Afghanistan resurged later. That's when, that
3 day fucking.
Well, and the thing too is I think it's also dictated by the terrain.
Sure.
When you're in the center of Baghdad, it's just a bunch of houses and it would be, it's just so easy to maneuver or call in, little birds to come and just drill it or whatever. So,
were there instances where you did that, where it was let's say it's even a couple hours or an hour where it's pretty intense and little birds come in and fucking just lay waste?
No, we had, no, we didn't have little birds on that one. In Fallujah, we were calling F-18s.
Yeah.
And just dumping freaking 500 pounders on it. And then we'd call Spectre, but you couldn't fly little birds over Fallujah because they'd get shot down.
Yeah.
So it was fast movers and then Spectre, which actually I think now that I think about it, I think we called the F-18s, it was day. I mean, obviously they haul ass. They're not getting shot down. I don't care how low they fly. And then when it hit dusk, we had the Spectre that we called in and just, I remember, we hammered this one building. Pretty much shot, I think, everything. I think Spectre left because it was freaking Winchester. But yeah, little birds. They had Cobras. We never messed with the Cobras.
Or Apaches?
No, we didn't. We never had Apache. Well, it was because the Marine Corps was there, so it was all Cobras. But they called Cobras in. I don't know why the the Cobras, could come in even in the daytime, whereas the Little Birds can't. Maybe, I don't know how they operate differently, but we never, wasn't a platform we had access to.
Yeah. Were there instances where you could pinpoint close air support 100% saving your ass?
Not there. Not there.
Yeah.
Again, that would probably be because you just couldn't generally get to that in Baghdad.
Yeah.
And then in Fallujah, because you couldn't get into the city, so you'd be on the outside of the city, firing in but you weren't like in,
Yeah.
You couldn't, like, again, that Marine unit pushed 100 yards and
Yeah.
it blew up the next morning.
Anything else on that first deployment that's
No, I mean, again, it's all, for me at this point, it feels like a million years ago.
Yeah.
It feels like another lifetime,
I for sure know what you mean. So you come home. How long were you home before you went back?
Well, I think probably 9 months or 8. No, it'd be like 8 months. Yeah.
And was it pretty turn and burn as far as doing lots of training when you were back?
Yeah. Pace didn't, still busy training, doing everything. Yeah, it was.
Are you married?
No.
No. Were you then, or?
No. Let's see, when did I? So I'd gotten separated right before the second deployment.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, just never there, and it's just kind of standard shit.
No, it was. I never should have got. I was young and stupid.
Say no more.
Yeah. No. I mean, actually, ironically, I haven't talked to her in like 12 years or whatever it's been, and I talked to her literally like 3 weeks ago out of nowhere. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I was just military married. And
you wanted the BAH,
dude, for all the usual wrong reasons. And then I got this new girlfriend, or I met this new girl, and then I was like, dude, I should have never got married. And so I got separated, and then I had this new girlfriend right before my second deployment.
Yeah. So you go on the second deployment. Was it a similar 30,000 foot view of, hey, we're here to take out key, or was there anything different?
No, it was more kind of a hybrid between Zarqawi at that time and IED makers.
Okay.
Specifically, I mean, IEDs were, so it was, we got to get rid of the IED makers.
Yeah.
Or VBID makers. Not IED.
This is 05, 06?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the height of the time there for sure. So what was that like when you went back? Was it noticeable that this is a different deployment?
It was night and day.
What was the biggest contrast?
I mean, just every target was bad guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was way hotter.
Yeah.
Way hotter, yeah.
And from the jump?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even remember the first mission, the second deployment, but yeah, I mean, it was every target was bad guys.
Yeah. Do any of them stand out that you do recall for any reason?
Yeah, I mean, I one stands out just because it was just interesting. It was an interesting self test, for lack of a better term. So we hit this house. Well, actually, ironically, we hit this house, and again, the guy that I mentioned earlier, the Navy hard hat diver who would be next to me getting blown up later. But we're hitting this house, and dude, he pretty much mag dumped and shot like, I don't even know how many guys, like 6, 8, I don't know. But they all kind of channelized trying to leave the front. And so, I mean, he shot like 6 or 8 dudes with the full mag. And I think we came in from, I don't remember how we came in, but anyways, I mean, there was, like I said, 6 or 8 guys all shot to shit. And once the target was done, at that time I had a camera and I was doing the digital photos of, the faces and everything. And so I come into the kitchen, and there was a guy that was still, I mean, he was shot up, but he was still breathing. But I could tell just by labored breath, just sound in his chest and everything. I'm like, this guy's not going to make it. And so I kind of went down and I took a picture of him as I'm supposed to. And then I just kind of realized, like, he's probably going to die in 30 seconds, just quickly. And again, call it morbid curiosity, but I just sat there, and I probably had my foot or my face a foot from his face. And I was just curious to see kind of what I thought or what I felt, and nothing. Like, it didn't even like, there was no universal human set, nothing. Like,
it didn't even register.
I didn't give a single shit, and again, though, it's because, as I think you said earlier, I mean, I knew before even going on that target in the briefing, I mean, these were all either suicide bombers or they were part of making the VBIEDs. So you're well into the piece of shit category in my world. So but still, even in that category, I was thinking, maybe there's some universal sadness or
some shred of empathy,
something. And there wasn't. Yeah. And to be perfectly honest, I felt kind of bad about it. I was kind of like, fuck, it's ruthless. I'm like, I really thought there would be something. Yeah. Like, and I think I was watching to hopefully feel something. And then when I didn't, I was like, oh shit, what does that say about me? But at the same time, to this day, doesn't bother me. Like, I don't, fuck that guy.
Have you thought about that periodically since it happened? Is it something that?
No, not. I mean, not in a feeling or emotional way. Like I said, like, I could, to this day, fuck him.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad he's dead.
Yeah.
But but I had to kind of understand why I didn't feel anything. I had to come to terms with, I'm a good person, and I have the utmost empathy for good people, innocent people. But as soon as I put you in the piece of shit category and you're, like, for sure, I'll watch you burn and not give a single fuck.
Yeah.
And that's just, I think that's something in all of us that allowed us to do that job.
Yeah. Was there any exceptions for you or for any of the guys that you worked with that you ever encountered?
People? Like, what do you mean?
Any exceptions to that, like second thoughts or second guessing or?
No, and I would say no, because we were very lucky to do the job we did with the intel we had.
It's very black and white.
Very black and white. Yeah. I mean, so there was one time, and this might have been the first deployment. I don't remember. In fact, no, I don't remember. But we hit this dude's house, and man, I think this was second deployment actually. We hit this dude's house, and freaking, I remember my buddy going through the interpreter and interrogating him, and then he caught him lying, and I remember him pulling the bookcase down, and it was just like, it was crazy. And then we found money, and it was just like, you're fucking lying, because American money, that was like red flag bad guy thing. And dude, we keep going through this, and then they told me to blow up the cars, and like, I remember these two little kids coming up to me and being like, "You're going to blow up our cars?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm going to blow the shit out of your cars." Like, I'll never forget that. Long story short, it wasn't even that night. It was like, I don't know, days later, find out that the guy was like, he was working with the 101st Airborne, total good guy working with Americans, but the intel was wrong, but he what he was used to in Iraq, with like corruption and different units, he was lying to us on who he was working with because he didn't know, and he's like, and then he's like, well, if I tell them I have money, maybe they'll take it. So it was just, that was the only thing that I ever did the only thing we ever did that I was a part of that I felt bad. I mean, they took care of him. We didn't hurt anyone. No one got hurt. And I mean, we definitely, I personally blew up his cars, and, we fucked that house up, but I'm sure they paid
Uncle
him
Sam
for it.
made it, right?
Yeah. But I'll never forget that, because it was just like, kids, they were so happy. You're going to blow up the cars? Oh, I'm going to blow the shit out of these cars.
They spoke that good English?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They spoke English. Yeah.
What did they do when you told them you were going to blow the shit out of them?
They were excited.
What the fuck?
And that's, again, I remember thinking, that's odd.
Yeah.
They're not afraid of me. Like, they're excited. And I just remember thinking, I think that's where I fell into the sewer too, if I'm not mistaken. How they just had the holes and like fucking disgusting. But I think it was the same target. But like I said, I have a buddy who every target he'd write an AAR, every single one. And
personally or officially?
No, personally. And in hindsight, man, like, dude, that was so smart.
Is he still on active duty?
No, he's out now. I asked him about it. He said he still has it.
Yeah. Same question on that deployment. Were there any operations that went catastrophically wrong?
On the second one? Well, yeah, the one
you got blown up. I guess outside, I'd like to, if we can, save that for the last story.
Nothing. I mean, nothing catastrophic other than that one.
Any other memorable ones that you can share? Were you guys using dogs yet?
Yeah.
Do you have a cool dog story?
Yeah, I got a cool dog story. So we came up, so I had a taser at the time.
Really?
Yeah, like the military, and
car battery taser.
Oh, dude, it was, that thing was fucking strong. And we came up, and it was like they had like a firing position in like an old bus. I don't remember where we were, but we came up, and I remember thinking, like, I was going to get up, because we do bus assaults, so I knew in my head what I was going to, go do, and I was going to pop up. But again, we didn't know what they had at the time. And we were prepared, and we were just about to hit it. And dude, they sent the dog, and as soon as the dog got sent, I remember we ran after it. And dude, that dog, when they pulled that guy out,
looked like he wrestled a chainsaw.
Dude, it literally tore his arm off. His arm was just done.
Yeah.
And it only had a hold of him for maybe 30 seconds. Yeah. Maybe. Probably not even. And dude, it pretty much chewed his arm to shit. And I was like, holy shit. I was I'd seen the dogs do bite, but that was the first live bite I ever saw. And I was like he didn't bite him, he fucking ate him. And that was when I was like,
I'm not fucking with that dog.
Yeah, I'm like, I didn't fuck with them to begin with, but I was like, that's not what I expected them to do.
Yeah.
But
wild. What was the so did that end it? Did the dog basically nullify your
yeah. Well, because we were gonna basically do like a bus assault, and just kind of come over the top through the windows. And then they're like, no, fuck it, we'll send the dog. And then the dog went, and we chased the dog. And then that ended it.
Yeah.
They were done.
Did you ever get to take down an airplane like you did in training?
Oh, no. There's been no live aircraft stuff.
I would imagine, clearing wise, it's a nightmare. Similar to a bus though, right? Or
it's the tubular assaults are all very similar, but aircraft has some unique nightmares.
Yeah.
To me, no one wins assaulting an aircraft. There's live. I don't think there's a way to do it without losing people.
Yeah.
Both hostages and part of the rescue team.
Yeah. Any other good dog stories, whether it was finding IEDs that saved your ass or any other good bite stories?
No, just because at that time we didn't do as much dog stuff as it really picked up after that.
Yeah.
That's the only, I mean, there was other, well, I mean, I remember actually another dog thing that I do remember is I remember how our dog could go in and know whose house it was, which I was like, how the fuck, like, how does the dog know?
Yeah.
And we came to a theory, which is if it's your house and dudes hit it, your fear is going to be the highest.
Well, I guess if you can explain the context around knowing whose house it is and in what regard.
Well, the dog would go to the person whose house it was. So let's say there's 10 guys there. The dog would go and like bite the person whose house it was.
Oh, I gotcha.
And we're like, well, how the fuck does it know?
I mean, it's purely olfactory at that point.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? We were like, the dog, it's not supposed to do that, but and we were like, it wasn't trained to. How would you train it to know? You know?
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard wiring. So one of the things from a dog training standpoint that I tend to find amusing is when people say that they're teaching a dog tracking. Mm-hmm. You're not teaching them to track. You're refining left and right flanks to which you want them to track. They obviously already know how, which is why they're a species at this point, because if they couldn't track, they wouldn't be. But so in an instance like that, no different than most people's assumption that a dog, because their hearing is so much better than ours, that's how that they understand that somebody is in your house that isn't supposed to be. And while that does take place, overwhelmingly, it's the smell that a dog picks up that somebody isn't supposed to be there, or that somebody, like, as an example, if you've been gone and you come home, from a protection dog standpoint, a common theme is, hey, we travel a lot and we come home, we want to send the dog into the house first, et cetera. And that dog moves through the house. It's going to smell if somebody is there far, far faster than they're going to hear something. So no different than, the way that a dog tracks a human being is through the sloughing of skin, that falls off of your body. Yeah. And so if House X, has all of the same sloughing of skin that this individual has, then it's an easy pairing to make for the dog at that point. But all right, so obviously that's the last of the dog stories. Nothing else, or does anything else stand out before we talk about the injury operation?
Not offhand.
Did you guys lose any guys from your team on that?
Not then. No.
So if you could kind of give us the play-by-play on the day that you got injured, that would be good.
Yeah. So there's some critical. Unfortunately, there's some critical things that set it up that I can't talk about, which is unfortunate because it would make a lot more sense why certain things happened the way they did. But anyway, so it was hit in Solder City, again Zarqawi target, which was common, and did a VDO vehicle drop off. Because Solder City, so we walked into Target. It's a, weird area, kind of a shanty town. But so we come in and then the house that we were told it was, I don't think we put charges on the door. I can't remember. But anyways, I was a breacher at the time, and we hit the house, came in, and pretty much right away, at least my spidey sense was like, these aren't bad guys. Just everything that I had come to know at that point, I was like, I'm not getting the vibe, from these people. And so I remember I was pulling security on, like, I want to say a man, a wife, and I think one kid. I don't remember exactly. But anyways, I'm there, and then we get the call, and this is like 30, 45 minutes go by. You got the interpreter's got to come in, figure shit out, talk to everyone, it takes time. And then after 30 or 45 minutes, we get a call, I hear over the radio that my team and another team are getting pulled outside. So we go outside, and the other team that got pulled was actually a team from from the unit, I portray on TV. So we had a whole team with us. And so we both get called out. That team starts to, there's like another, it's about, again, from what I remember, 100 yards away. I'm sure that's not accurate in reality, but that's what I remember. And so they start going around to the front side of the house, and we're heading towards the back side. And, next thing you know, it's the most gunfire I've heard at that point. It was the most gunfire I'd heard at one time by far. And I think from what I remember, it was like 8 dudes, like in one room with AKs shooting.
Fucking hornet's nest.
Yeah, it was excessive. I mean, it sounded like 4th of July. And so immediately, I want to say 3 or 4 guys got shot up on the front side. They hadn't even made it to the door, obviously, because, those guys, it was an ambush. They were waiting for them. And then, so we ran, I was breacher, like I said, at the time. So, I'm thinking of, getting a charge up, whatever, getting in the backside door. So we go over a wall, get inside there, cleared, like a kitchen, cleared a room, which is kind of an interesting story. The room, second room that we cleared, I went in and AK hit me in the chest.
Wow.
That's how close he was. As soon as I turned right, the gun hit me. And, behind him was an outline, at least, I can't remember if I saw this through nods or under nods. I don't remember, but I remember, well, it had to be under nods because I remember it being either pink or purple. I don't know, but I was aware, that it was probably his wife or a woman, I should say. And,
did you just assume their gender, Tyler? Is that what happened?
Yeah, I'm a real piece of shit. And so I just, my gun was up, but at that time, so much HR hostage rescue shooting, I didn't, bullets will go through. So and it was a very quick decision, but I ended up grabbing the gun and not shooting him. Anyways, and then we came outside that room, started to go down the hallway, and the whole hallway just lit up. And it was basically that room, and those guys were shooting through the wall.
Was there pretty constant gunfire this entire time?
Oh yeah. Well, but it wasn't. It was happening, but I don't think they knew we were in the house. Again, this is what I remember. I don't think they knew we were in the house. I think they still thought they were just in front until we were in the hallway. Then they figured out that, oh shit, they're also here. So then they just started shooting through the hallway. And the guy to my left at the time, I think he got hit 3 times. I don't remember. And I just remember him saying, I'm hit. And then and had he not said that, it wouldn't have mattered. I mean, the concussion of the rounds coming through the wall, I don't know how it didn't hit me, but it was intense. So we backed up. If we would have kept going, we would have been done for sure. And then we went back, and then that guy went, I assume, outside to get some medical aid. And then I ended up, or the guy I told you about ended up next to me. And we were kind of at a tactical conundrum because you had a hallway, and at the end of the hallway was a door. I mean, maybe it was 7-8 meters. I don't know, but you can't hook a grenade, into a door. There's no way to throw a grenade, into that door. So the only way to do it is, the plan we were coming up with is that, I'm going to shoot basically, we're going to basically really fucking put down some, through the wall and then at the door frame to where we can just go up close enough to hook a grenade in. That was the best. It was the only thing we could do. And we just, okay, that was the plan. And then I remember him like going down to grab a grenade, and then that was it. Everything exploded. I don't remember. I remember being on the ground, and I remember looking up, and I remember seeing like, so it blew the nods off. That's probably important. It blew the nods off my face. So I had no nods. So I just remember seeing like a glow, like an ember glow, and this like swirl of, it's obviously dusty as shit there, and just the dust swirl. And it was just, I just remember being confused and just being like, what the fuck just happened? And, I mean, the power of the explosion was just.
Do you know what it was? Did they ever find out what?
Yeah, eventually they found out. But it was a very large explosive.
Was it ammonium nitrate or?
No. But it was a very large amount of explosive.
That's one of the details you can't get into.
And it basically, I mean, the pressure, it just like the way I describe it is, like in the Avengers movies when the Hulk grabs somebody and he just like slams them.
Yeah.
That's how it felt,
Wow.
Just, I felt like,
ragdoll.
Yeah, I felt small to the power of it. And then I also felt like, and I know it sounds weird, but it felt like my arm was gone. Like I felt that I couldn't feel it. It sounds weird.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it was just, and so I was like, well, my arm's gone. And maybe it's because I'm a movie fanatic. I don't exactly know why, but I like flashed to Saving Private Ryan and like kind of felt on the ground for my arm. And then I was like, well, that's dumb. I couldn't see anything. And, cause it's still dark in there. And then I don't even know, so it blew the nods off. It fucked up my gun. I mean, my arm was fucked. And I don't even remember seeing like the guy who got blown up next to me. He was unconscious, but I don't even know where he was. Like, I don't even remember seeing him. And so I remember kind of like standing up and then going like, I need to figure out what's going on. So I walk out back, and there's like a porch light. And that's when I looked at my arm. And I mean, this, was flayed out. I mean, from here to here, it was just hamburger meat, and it blew up 8 different like chunks. So I can't even, it was holding on by the like half. If you think about it, the fact that they were able to fix it. I mean, when I looked at it, there was zero question in my mind that it was done.
Yeah.
Not even debatable. And so I looked at it and I'm like, oh, my arm's gone. And then I remember thinking, well, I'm going to be that guy with one arm. And then I remember thinking, shit, I've got an arterial bleed. And I'm like, I don't have that long before I'm going to pass out,
And you're walking around thinking this while shit's still going on.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't really, I was taking a couple steps in the back, but because I was stepping away from the door frame.
What was, not to interrupt, but what were the other team members doing? Were they still reacting?
I didn't see anyone.
Oh, wow.
No, I think, and again, that's not to say they weren't, I was like in my own world. Yeah. I don't know how to explain it.
Pain?
I was aware, I was in shock. So I was aware that it was severe. Yeah. Like in my head, I was like, I am fucked up. You know what I mean? But I wasn't, I could feel it, but I was also a little detached from it.
Sure.
Hard to explain. And then I saw the wall. Remember that I came over and I'm like, well, that ain't happening. No.
Yeah.
So then I just ended up putting my back against the wall and sitting down. And then how do they teach you to put on a tourniquet? You put your arm out. Well, that ain't fucking going to work right now. So like, I've got this tourniquet. I don't know what to do with it because I can't, I couldn't do it.
Put it.
Well, yeah. Cause it's like, you got to loop it around. It just wasn't possible. And here's an interesting, true part of the story is, so then somebody gets to me. I don't remember them. I just remember them appearing. I don't know how they got there. And they put the tourniquet on me. Again, by chance, coincidence, fate, whatever you want to call it, it is the same guy that I went on the mission with in Afghanistan in 2002.
No shit.
What are the odds?
Wow.
Yep. So that's who put the tourniquet on me, ultimately saving my life. I mean, among other people along the way, but just sheer crazy shit. And really solid guy, by the way.
So he was one of the 4 guys that you were on the recce mission with?
Yep.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, actually one of 3. I think it was only 3 of them at the time.
Did he go through selection after you, I take it?
Oh no. He was in the unit. No. He was in the unit. He was one of the guys in the unit team.
I got you.
Yeah. So yeah, he was way senior to me.
Gotcha.
Yeah, way senior to me.
Damn,
he was a team leader actually of a team.
Wow.
Yeah, which I don't think he was team leader yet when he was in Afghanistan, but so yeah, he puts the tourniquet on me and then he hits me with gives me, because I think it blew it. Like I had all my morphine in my right pocket. I was gone.
It reminds me of Matt Nyman's story, which I'll tell.
Oh,
you.
really?
It's kind of a similar thing.
Yeah. So, but he gives me the morphine auto injector, and like 5 minutes goes by, and he's like, "How you feeling?" And I'm like, "I still feel like shit," So then I think he gave me another one, and 5 minutes goes by. Yeah, not good. Long story short, it turns out in the hospital I'm morphine intolerant. It doesn't do anything to me.
Is that all opioids?
No, it's just morphine. It's why it's actually why they developed Dilaudid for people like myself that morphine doesn't work on. So, I was not feeling awesome until I finally got the fentanyl when the medic finally got to me, because he was dealing with the guys that were shot on the front, and then he finally got to the back and dealt with me, and then I was lucky. I was lucky because I got. They landed a little bird. I can't remember if it was a gunship. I don't remember. But they literally put me in the hellhole on a little bird.
Wow.
And then the medic just sandwiched me with his body. And then they flew me to the cache in Baghdad. So I was evac'd pretty quick. Yeah. Which again, had I been probably conventional the medic alone, the immediate treatment I got from that guy, then our medic, who's one of the best 18 deltas ever. And then, getting to the hospital so quick. All those things, if it wasn't for any one of those factors, I definitely wouldn't have my arm, let alone would I be alive. I doubt it.
Yeah.
I had a doctor tell me that because I don't remember why I was so focused, but for whatever reason at the time I was really into cardio. And I was doing a shit ton of cardio, and on my blood volume, the doctor was saying that he goes, had your heart not been in such cardiovascular shape, he's like, I don't think you would have. Wow. I don't think your heart would have, or I was able to keep pumping at such a low heart rate or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But he said that was a factor too, because I lost a shit ton of blood. But and then I got to the hospital, and then they told me when I went into surgery, or right before I went into surgery, I would say they told me after they hit me with drugs. They're like, we're going to remove your arm, and I was like, fucking whatever, dude, do whatever you want. Go crazy. I don't care.
Take the other one. Fuck it.
Yeah. I was like, cut my legs off. I don't give a shit, and then the next morning I woke up and arm was there. And the doctor literally told me, that they just had done so many extremity blast surgeries in Baghdad at that time that they were just able to do things that they couldn't do even a year or two prior. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So you had the initial big surgery in Baghdad.
Yeah. So kind of an interesting tidbit on that is, Baghdad didn't generate any records. I have no idea who the doctors were that ultimately did that initial saving of my arm.
Wow.
No idea. I mean, there's no record of it. So I don't know. Records weren't generated till Germany.
That's incredible.
I mean, you understand, they're probably pretty freaking busy. You know, they don't have time to, they're not billing your insurance, out of Baghdad. But, well, do you have TRICARE coverage for this? So, I have no idea who those doctors were that are obviously very significant to my life now. Yeah. And I have no idea who they are. I mean, I'm sure I could, spend a lot of time and try and figure it out. But unfortunately, there's not I would love to just say, hey, thanks,
Yeah. Do you know / can you share what happened at that target after you got hit? Do you know what the outcome was?
So entry was made, and all those dudes died.
Yeah.
That whole room got smoked.
Yeah. How many guys were there? 8? Or more than that, I guess.
I mean, I think it was 8 in that room. Again, I'd have to talk to,
I mean, I guess total on the target, because there were 6 or 8 initially, right?
Well, there was one in the, so the and this is actually an interesting thing is, those guys all died, however many there were in that room, 6, 8. Again, I actually never saw them personally. That was just what I was told. But the only person that lived on that target was the guy that I didn't kill.
Really?
Yep. That guy, well, and the woman, obviously. But that's the only person that lived. And if there's anything that I regret, it's not shooting that guy.
Yeah.
And the reason is, I should be clear, the reason is it was his house.
Oh, wow.
He was the facilitator. That's why his wife was with him. And that's why the other guys were in the other room, is they were sleeping in sleeping bags in the other room.
Yeah.
It was his house. He was in the bedroom with his wife. And, for many years I thought, did he, go through the process, get out like many did, and then go start, jacking Americans up again? I don't know. Yeah. So that, ironically, my biggest regret is not, just sidestepping at a different angle and shooting him. But again, it was so quick. I can't blame myself. And probably grabbing his gun was probably the cooler thing.
Well, no, you are a Hollywood guy now.
Yeah, so. It was probably the cooler move if somebody would have been filming it. But
Steven Seagal shit.
But I always regretted that. Especially after what happened to me, obviously.
Sure. Did the guy, your teammate that got shot up, was he?
Everyone was fine. That guy was like a fucking robot built out of the guy was a big muscle. Yeah. So everything was pretty superficial. Like, I think it was the arm, bicep, it was all, because if you think about the angle, it came from this way, and he was like further out. So it was all kind of relatively superficial stuff. Yeah. The guy that got blown up next to me, he was unconscious for like 2 hours.
Holy fuck.
Yeah. He took a lot of, and actually, true story, him and I figured out later, if we switched positions, we would have both been decapitated.
Really?
Yeah, because it would have, the frag that, so my helmet, I've got my helmet still.
Because of the height difference?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Damn, that's fucking crazy.
Yep.
Also
of note, I was wearing a groin guard with a hard plate.
Really?
4x4 hard plate, which we had just got. And I was maybe one of 2 or 3 people wearing them. And I've still got that to this day. And it still blew off part of my scrotum.
Holy shit.
Had I not had that hard plate and that groin guard,
game over.
It would have taken out everything.
Fuck, man.
Yeah.
Does that injury have an impact on you?
No, it was
aesthetic.
Well, at first, so what they basically did was they took some of my scrotum and like cut it off. So like for like 4 years, it was lopsided, which is funny because over time it
grew back.
It just balances out. Like the weight
you.
balances it out. So I again, super lucky. I had
goddamn lizard's tail down there, huh?
I had no negative effect from it whatsoever. But
dude, that's a trip, man.
Yeah.
And now you wouldn't even know, or
dude, like,
I mean, you can slap your sack on the table if you want. But.
Dude, 4 years ago, I shit you not. Well, maybe I don't know how many years ago, but I was like in the shower and I just kind of thought of that scar, because they sewed it back to like, my body. And so I was like, I wonder if I can still see it. And I'm like in the shower and I'm like, I got like a mirror down here. And I'm like, I hope no one comes in right now. It's going to look really weird. But I found it, but it's so scars heal crazy over time,
That's wild. No other damage other than that though.
No, it's, the arm, the scrotum, and then like, I think my leg took, I still have the casualty card, or I can't remember if it was my right or left leg. I don't remember, but, it's all, it's just a strange, I have all my kit from it, blood. I got still got my boots with the blood on it and all that shit.
Yeah.
I actually, this is a good story. So, I got the helmet, I got the fucking, the vest got blood all on it and all this shit. And it wasn't a big deal to me. I mean, obviously it's a big deal getting hurt, but so I kept that stuff, whatever. And one day, so the girlfriend I was talking about that I still had, this is like, I had already gotten out and I was out medically retired and we were at our house that we bought and I forget why, but I opened it up and I pulled the shit out and she just lost her shit.
Really?
And I get it now, or I got it then afterwards. But I didn't even think about it. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think I was even like showing like, oh, here's my helmet. To me, I was just like, I've never showed you this, and the blood and everything. And she just started crying. And I was like, I felt so bad because I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah.
And she was just, to her, it represented such a important moment and to see the effect of it that she wasn't there for.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like seeing a motorcycle or a car that somebody died in or something.
But man, I was so unaware when I start like, oh, hey, look. Yeah. Oh, hey, the blood's still on it. Yeah.
Do you have pictures of that stuff?
No. What's a bummer is huge bummer is I remember when I first got to the hospital, to the Baghdad, I never lost. That's not true. The only time I lost consciousness was maybe, I don't know how long, 10 minutes how they got me over the wall. I have no idea. Maybe there was a gate. I don't know, but somehow maybe they took me out the front door. I don't know. But when they moved me, I lost consciousness. But that was it. Other than that, I was conscious the whole time until they knocked me out for surgery. But when I got to the cash, into the room, there was a nurse taking pictures. And I was like, I want these pictures. Like, here's my email. And I fucking gave it to her. And like, I never got them. And I'm still pissed off about that because I would love to have seen what it looked like. Because the first pictures I have are like
way later,
a month later. Yeah. And I mean, it still looks like dog shit, but I can't imagine what it looked like initially.
Wow. Do you know about how long you were in country before they sent you? Did they send you to Germany?
Oh, dude, I got out of surgery. And I got out of surgery and they sent me within 6 hours of waking up.
To Germany?
Yeah.
How long were you in Germany for?
A week.
And then to Walter Reed? Or?
I was in Walter Reed for like a day and then they sent me back to Bragg so I could be close to the unit.
Yeah. Wow. How long were you in the hospital once you got back to Bragg?
I don't know. I think it was like 2 months, something like that.
And were you medically retired shortly thereafter? Or?
No, I mean, that process, while it took,
I mean, I guess for all intents and purposes, were they like, you're going to be medically retired?
No, they were.
Or is it kind of up in the air?
So what they told me was, I mean, this took a while. This took about a year of surgeries and stuff. But they said that you had, I want to say it was like 30%. I can't remember exactly. but it was like there's and obviously this is a guess, but you have like a 30% chance of going back to a team after 5 years. That was the kind of the prognosis. And for me, I was like, that's
too long.
It's A, too long. It's B, too low. And again, the sad part is at the time, this is like, I don't know, 06, whatever, 07. I'm like, 5 years? 5 years. Okay. Afghanistan's already over with. Boy, was I wrong about that. Yeah. But you could see why I thought that at the time, or, it was right at the time. Iraq will be done, which also was true, but, and then I'm like, I mean, dude, ISIS wasn't a thing, and to me, I would maybe go back to a team that was now done with war.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck it. Yeah. I'm out. So I chose, they gave me every option. I could have done a million things. They were great about it. And I was just like, I was aware enough to know that if I would have stayed and just watched everyone deploy for 5 years.
Yeah, it would suck.
Dude, I would have freaking, I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Yeah. Is there a percentage on how much in terms of the usability of your arm exists?
It's like 30 something. It's actually much lower than most people think, but like I can, these two fingers don't work that well, but you get away with it. It's deceptive. Most people think my arm's fully functional.
Yeah.
But it's only about, it's under 40.
Yeah. As far as certain motions, pull-ups, push-ups, curls, shit like that.
So I use a strap and I have to strap into the weights.
Yeah.
But I can do everything. I just have to, I can't grip it.
Is it painful?
Oh yeah.
Still?
Oh yeah.
Quite a bit.
Oh, it hurts every time I work out. Yeah.
Yeah. I admittedly don't watch the show on CBS. When it's finished, I'll binge watch the whole thing. I have a thing about shows I can't stand watching.
I understand. Well, yeah, I mean, I do the same thing.
Yeah, but so I'm looking forward to watching it. But I am curious, does that play into the show at all?
It's funny because no, we've never addressed it.
Really?
Never.
Do you see it much or at all?
Yeah, I mean, can't avoid it a lot of times, but we've
never. I
don't
know if you're like in full kit where you're never.
No, I mean, I wear short sleeve shirts all the time on it. We've just never addressed it directly of what it is. I mean, obviously it would make sense in
that former injury.
From another operation, but we've never directly addressed it, which.
You get a lot of questions fan wise
about it.
Yeah.
Every once in a while.
Or do most of the hardcore guys know your background?
I think so.
Yeah. Sorry to be boring.
Oh no, man. Sorry.
I know you're up with the drinking bros all night.
I've been flying every day. I've last like 40. I've been on a podcast. What's it called?
Tour.
Yeah, tour. That's what I was looking for. Yeah, podcast tour.
Does the usage of your arm, has that been a hindrance in terms of what you do on the show at all? Like, have you had to make accommodations for that?
No, I can get away with pretty much anything.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't be able to fast rope, right?
Oh yeah, I fast rope with it.
Does it hurt like fuck?
I really have to. Like, I'll destroy a pair of shoes because I really have to pinch in with my feet.
Yeah.
Because it really doesn't. The sandwich with my hands doesn't really work that great. Wow. So I really have to get a good bite with my feet.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm doing like, I'm trying to think of what I've fast roped on the show, but I think I've done like a legit Broco or a freaking or a saw. So. There's been times where I fast rope on the show and I'm like, oh shit, like, oh, I don't want to go this fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely interesting.
Yeah. So in terms of the transition out of the military, that was a difficult process.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked this podcast is by far the most I've ever talked about being in.
Good.
I usually talk about being out and don't talk about being in. So this is by far the most I've ever talked about being in.
Well, I appreciate your candidness with that.
Oh, no. I mean, it's all relative, to, being, being in is a part of being in sets you up for being out, and what happened when you were, it's all relative. For me, the thing I like to say is, when I got out, and I went into a lot of depth on another podcast on this, which, if somebody wants to know more about it, but really the problem that I had, and I think a lot of guys experience this, is that there's no way to do that job without it being your identity.
Yeah.
So when I was no longer doing that job, I no longer knew who I was. So what really, and I didn't plan to get out. It's like I didn't, it's not like it was time, it was, I got out before I wanted. So my identity felt stripped from me, felt taken. And so when I got out, I, and of course it's not like, it's not like I was like, oh, you know what? I'm having identity problems. No, I'm fucked in the head. I don't know what my problem is. I don't know why I'm having trouble with this. I don't know why I'm, it's a bunch of problems that you don't really know why you're experiencing them. And now, of course, over time, now I can look back, and it was an identity crisis, and I had to figure out who I was outside of what I did, and that took time.
Yeah. Is there a most difficult part of that process that you recall, or like a lowest spot?
Lowest. I mean, I've hit several lows. I think the big one was initially finding purpose. That was, finding purpose and finding an identity was kind of one and the same.
Yeah.
And then I hit another low. The other low that I hit was, like, and I'll say it this way, is it's very easy to think that life is a mountain. It's like, it's one direction, but it's not. It's hills and valleys, peaks and valleys. And just because you're on a peak right now doesn't mean you won't be in a valley, in a year, in a week, whatever. And just because you're in a valley doesn't mean you're not going to hit a peak. So it's, to me, you just have to be okay with the highs and lows. And, my last low was, like I said, before I went to Warrior's Heart. My girlfriend cheated on me, and for reasons that quite frankly were my fault. I was working too much and many other reasons, and that just broke me. That broke my brain. And then I was, because of the accident, I was so, heavily medicated, which also contributed to not paying attention. And again, these were all, regardless of why it happened, ultimately it was my fault and my responsibility. And then I was broken. I was absolutely broken. And I had to, part of the difficulty of that was it happening again. It was like, fuck, how am I here again? Going back to when I was injured, post-injury, it's like, okay, then it had been a pretty good ride up, and then this happens, and I'm like, shit, how am I back here? And what I figured out, quite honestly, through going to Warrior's Heart and doing, 42 days of just work on myself was, I realized that I never really, my whole life, thought I had value.
Really?
Yeah. When it goes back to my childhood.
What do you think from your childhood stemmed that train of thought?
So my parents, it's a long story, but my dad was an alcoholic, and I never saw my dad. And then my brother, kind of, that I mentioned, he had a lot of issues, and I was a good kid, so they just kind of left me alone.
Yeah.
I had imaginary friends and the whole thing, and I spent a lot of time alone. But subconsciously, I just, as a kid, you develop things based on a child's perspective, which is not accurate. And I developed that I wasn't worth attention, that I wasn't worth love, that I wasn't worth all these things. Again, that's not accurate, but kids are stupid.
And you feel like that kind of cemented into the hardwiring of your psyche for your entire life?
No question.
Wow.
Yeah, no question. I think there's so many things that we don't realize that are so hardwired. And it really took, I wouldn't have thought that until really spending a lot of time dissecting every issue that I had. And then that kept coming up, which again surprised me. But then when I really thought about it, it made so much sense, because I was like, look, I've had, I would always, I still am working at it, but I'm a fundamentally self-destructive person.
Really?
Fundamentally.
In what ways?
Well, I'll say it this way. Like, you were a SEAL. Would you say that's not a self-destructive job?
No, for sure it is.
And that's my point.
Yeah.
So it's.
I guess outside of that, are there like a number of examples that are from different not perspectives, but angles, lifestyle wise, that you're that way?
We were just talking about it, like racing.
Yeah.
Motorcycles. Adrenaline.
Yeah.
It's fundamentally self-destructive.
Yeah. I guess I'm getting my eyes opened over here. Maybe
Yeah. I know. That's why I'm kind of giving you that look. I'm like, it's the same thing. It's well. So I'll give you this, because I haven't explained this on you've maybe not heard it, but so I kept getting, first I went to the VA. I went and I was like, hey, I'm having some issues, and I don't know what really even they are. And they're like, all right, you got PTSD. And I'm like, all right, what's that? I'm like, I don't think that's not what it is. Well, that's definitely what it is. Denial's part of it. I'm exaggerating, but, and they kept telling me all these different things, and I just kept going, it just doesn't feel like that. And then one time this thing happened to me, which we don't have enough time to go through the whole explanation, but I'll give you the realization I got from it was, I realized, I'm like, I don't have PTSD. So then this thing happened, and I had to make up a theory to explain my actions. And what I came up with, I call L.T.S.D. I don't have post-traumatic stress disorder. I have lack of traumatic stress disorder. I need traumatic stress in order to feel comfortable and normal.
Wow. Is that your coining?
I made it up. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made it up. But
is there something more to that than?
So think of it this way. When the environment is absolutely chaotic, I'm chill as a cucumber in my mind.
Yeah.
Like, I need the chaos in the environment, because I'm reverse wired now. Combat is chaos. And the only way to be good in chaos, when the environment's chaos, is you have to be calm in your mind. Well, once you're reverse wired that way, it doesn't go back.
If it's calm, then you're a mess.
There you go. Wow. Once the environment is calm, you're chaotic in your mind. So how do you calm yourself? Well, it's very simple. You have to create chaos.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
So you create the chaos. You drink and drive. You go 200 miles an hour on a motorcycle. You get into a fight with your girlfriend, your wife, your spouse, or whatever. You yell at your kids. You do anything to make chaos happen. And then everyone starts freaking out. And then you go, oh man,
I can be the calm guy.
Yeah. What's the problem here? It's all good.
Yeah. What's interesting is that, to me, seems like a microcosm of the American society's problem, is that we've been so good for so long that, like, now we're having to create issues to worry about. And that's why a lot of the things that are big ticket items, not to say that some of them aren't legitimately catastrophic, because they are, but a lot of the societal or social issues that people are being justice warriors about, in the grand scheme of things, are like, that's not really a fucking problem. But we're making it a big problem because, lizard brain wise, we don't have tigers chasing us, and
Yeah, we don't have the big problems, but you're always trying to improve your survival or whatever.
You need some sort of struggle and some sort of unified fight against something.
Yeah. So if it's not there, you create it.
Yeah. So this is like an internal microcosm of that. That's fascinating.
Absolutely
man.
True. And again, every time I bring it up, people go, "Oh, that makes sense."
Yeah.
There's a truth to it. And so the other thing too is, it's I accepted that okay, I need chaos to be calm, and that's okay. And then it came to, all right, well then I can't I just can't go back. And I mean, just think of this logically. This is America, first world, society. This is war. If you're good here, you suck here.
Right. If you're good there,
you suck here.
Yeah.
That couldn't be more obvious and logical. And yet for some reason, people act like you can jump between the two.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So we've been reverse wired to be good in this environment. Well, we now suck here.
Yeah.
And it brings up something else, which is about, a term that drives me crazy is reintegration.
Yeah.
Reintegration. What year did you join at 18?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you say that you were integrated into society as an 18-year-old?
No, I mean, I went.
Dude, you were in school.
Yeah, I mean, I graduated at 17, so I had to wait to turn 18.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, but I grew up in the same fucking house, in the same bedroom, in the same bed my entire life until I went to boot camp.
An 18-year-old is not in society.
Yeah, I grew up in the Navy.
Yeah, exactly. Really. Exactly. And so what I always say is they always say reintegration, and I say bullshit.
Yeah.
You're integrating.
Yeah.
You've never been in normal society.
Yeah.
Wow. You don't know. It's not like you knew, then you adjusted, and then you went back to it. You never understood it. You were never a part of it to begin with.
Yeah.
And if you look at it that way, well, it changes your perspective, because then you go into it a little bit more like, all right, dude, this is completely new to me. And I have a lot to learn. I've never been a part of this.
Almost like starting OTC, right? Ground level.
Start from the beginning. And not only that, but however long you were in, that's how long everyone has a head start on you.
Yeah.
As you know.
Yeah. Was there a singular takeaway from whether it was Warrior's Heart or in this journey of yours of coming to that conclusion of the self-destructiveness, but more importantly is that did you have okay, this is how I need to reconcile this and work through it and balance enough chaos, but it's strategic enough to where it's not going to fucking kill me?
So self-destructive, like I was somewhat aware of it, but it took over time me realizing that I was self-destructive, but I justified self-destruction as growth, which the fucked up part is it
kinda
is.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I did it for so long.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, discomfort is growth. The more I self-destruct, the more fucked up shit I survive, the more I grow. And it's true.
But at a cost.
And so then I had to, at a certain point, go, okay, why do I keep self-destructing? Why do I destroy all my relationships? Why do I do all this? Why do I push everyone away? Why? And eventually it was through Warrior's Heart, really through the therapist there, that it's because fundamentally I didn't believe I deserved it. And I was destroying things that I subconsciously didn't feel I deserved.
How do you get past that then? Like what?
That's a great question. I mean, obviously, but the biggest part is fucking recognizing that that's the problem, which took me years and years and years. And I hope anyone watching or listening to this, the faster that you realize that that's the problem, man, it took me way too long. And, but once you realize that's the problem, the solutions are much easier than than recognizing that that's the problem. So a solution is simple as, and we were just talking about it the other day, but actually you and I were talking about it earlier, buying yourself nice things.
Yeah.
That is a subconscious way of saying, I deserve this. And I'm not saying spend money, frivolously and it's not money is going to give you value or worth, but subconsciously treating yourself well. And this could be buying things for yourself. This could just be treating yourself well in general. Don't eat shitty food. Don't freaking, get 2 hours of sleep a night. Treat yourself well. And the better that you treat yourself, the more subconsciously you will feel that you deserve it. Yeah. Bruce Lee himself has a quote of saying,
don't talk negative about yourself.
Never talk negative of yourself, even as a joke. And I think, Bruce Lee was a martial artist, but what he really was a philosopher.
For sure.
He was a fucking smart dude. Yeah. I think about that all the time. It's absolutely true. And so I've had to continuously, it's the way I say it is consciously, there's a lot of things I know. Do I know I'm worth it? Yeah, I know that. But subconsciously, have I accepted it? No. Yeah. So there's a lot of things but if you really dig deep enough, you'll realize you know them, but you haven't accepted them. Yeah. And doing the little things every day on just telling yourself you're worth it, doing actions, treating yourself well, not taking any bullshit from other people. All those different things contribute on a daily basis to your subconscious accepting that you're good enough.
Learning to say no to things you don't want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's awesome, man. Well, fucking A, man. I got to tell you, it's been a really, really enjoyable podcast for me. And,
awesome,
and I can't appreciate or thank you enough for coming.
No, thanks for having me, man.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? I guess the biggest thing I'm curious of is what's next for you. Do you know?
Got a lot of product development stuff I'm working on. As far as the show, I don't mind saying it. Yeah, I legitimately don't know if there'll be another season. If there is, I'll hopefully be a part of it in some way. It's, I haven't mentioned this yet, but there's a big weight to that because early on the show, I think season 2, I was getting like Instagram messages from kids, watching the show and being like, oh, it's motivated me to join. And I was like, oh shit. Yeah. Like that was a show called Tour of Duty for me in the 80s, and I was like, oh my God, this is some kid's tour of duty. Yeah. And on that, look, does fast roping out of helicopters look cool? Yeah, it does. Is it cool? Yeah, it's cool. So I feel a responsibility with the show to, we're going to show the cool stuff and it is cool. But if you watch the show, what it really is about on over time is the self-destructiveness that this job has on these characters' lives. Yeah. And I feel we'll show the cool stuff, but at the end of the day, we're also making it a very honest portrayal of what that life will do to you. Yeah. And it will, as you know.
Oh, it'll chew anybody and everybody up and spit them right the fuck out.
Yeah. And, but the worst case is you and I both knowing that would still join.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because that's just what I watched First Blood, and I was like, "Ooh, I want PTSD. I want
to get chased by the cop."
Yeah, like, I want to fight the cop at the end, Yeah. But by the way, I got to mention this because this is fascinating. Yeah. As written in the book, as written in the script, and as filmed in the movie, Brian Dennehy's character is a Korean War veteran.
Really?
Edited out.
No shit.
Dude, if you watch it again, it'll make so much more sense to you.
Wow.
He's a Korean War veteran. The reason he tells Rambo to get out is because he knows the shit he's going to go through because he went through it.
Wow.
And he's saying, I don't want you to go through that shit in my town.
No shit.
That's why he has to fight him at the end. But that's also when he finds out Rambo's got a Medal of Honor, he gets pissed off because Rambo is the veteran he wasn't.
Yeah. Professional jealousy.
Isn't that crazy though?
That's like fucking wild.
They cut it. It makes it so much better.
Why would they cut that out?
Just for time and whatever.
Fuck,
but
man.
dude,
that puts it all together.
It changes everything. When you rewatch the movie, it makes a lot more sense.
Man.
That Dennehy's character is a Korean War. And his whole thing too is, oh yeah, they're spitting on you. Well, they forgot about my war. At least they're acknowledging you. Yeah. There's all this stuff. Anyways, I'm gonna
have to rewatch it now.
Dude, you'll see it. It's obviously there.
That's awesome, man. Fascinating story and life you've lived. And again, I can't thank you for
thanks for having me.
Can't thank you enough for coming. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. To me, it's one of my favorite episodes, hands down.
Well, thank you.
And I appreciate your guys' support for tuning in. Please tune in to his show as well as Spectre. Right? Is it the?
Yeah, we'll have some cool stuff coming out.
Yeah, down the pipe, you can be expecting that. But at any rate, I do want to just continue to say thank you to all the listeners for tuning in show after show. If not for your support, we wouldn't be able to bring amazing guests like Tyler on. So,
well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Hope you have a good holiday season. Merry Christmas. Sing happy birthday to Jesus or whatever it is that you get behind. And until next time, this is Mic Drop.